Good evening, race fans, and welcome to the final race of the 2026A Belly Up Sports Cup Series Elite Racing League season here on the Elite Racing Network. This will be the three-wide TV 400 from Homestead, Miami Speedway in Florida. And for this Elite Racing Network crew, my name is David Westergreen for the final time this season, joined, as always, by Zach Evans. We've got Sam Boutwell on race control and Huck producing this race, this final race of the season. Zach, a thrilling championship battle all season long will come down to the final race. We do not have it locked up yet. It'll be Blake Reynolds looking for 3 championships in a row. He's got a 10-point lead over Ethan Stanley. Take me through this long 400 miler tonight.
I mean, you hit the nail on the head. 400 miles at Homestead. We're going to have the full distance, the extra stage, and the stage points on the offering there. A lot of twists and turns, I'm sure, in this chase format, the final race, but you have to wonder if anybody has anything to stop Blake Reynolds from getting that 3rd championship in a row.
His best threats will be Ethan Stanley and the pole sitter, the 4D Raceware pole sitter, Daniel Falkingham, who putting together another pole award. That's quite a few of them this season for that 39 car, as Caleb Pecumer will line up alongside him for Lake Norman Motorsports, the World 600 winner. Scott Crump will roll from P3, also for Lake Norman, and Blake Reynolds' teammate Ethan Stanley with a shot at the championship from P4. Blake Reynolds is there in 5th place. He'll be alongside Josh Chin, his Channel 199 teammate. Gavin Hibbs, until missing the race last week, was a real threat to win the championship. He'll be mathematically eligible alongside Josh Adams. David Tooker will start in 9th alongside Dusty Dewar with a strong qualifying run for the Do Good car in P10. Corey Abbott will start 11th for Abbott Motorsports, and Jonathan Cutlip, last week's winner, will start in 12th.
On the 7th row, Trey Holmes with the Skittles look on his car this week. He'll be alongside Chad Frankenfield. Going back to row 8, Jared Rexing will start in the 15th position. He'll be alongside Daniel Gore in the 69 car. On the 9th row, Jesse Racimus will start in the 17th position. Matthew Weeks will roll off from 18th. Ryan Borges qualifying 19th fastest. He will be alongside Gavin Higgins. On row 11, Johnny Thomas qualifies in the 21st spot. Ray Bracey will roll off 22nd. Fuel Up Racing's Kurt Gibson qualifying 23rd. Seth Rawls rolls off 24th.
Brett Jones will go from 25th spot in a special scheme there. Michael Hosack will start in 26th. It'll be Ethan Burrell in 27th. Not a great qualifying effort from driver 37, looking to make that championship run. He'll be flanked by Ty McIntosh. Ryan Gavel and Carlos Acosta make up row number 15. It'll be Paul Mikolajczyk in 31st. Gilberto Javier Gomera there in 32nd. Nigel Stock will start 33rd. Alongside him will be Jaden Racimus in 34th. 35th is going to be Jeff Green, the 2000 Busch Series champ there. He'll be flanked by Rob Mooney, starting 36th. 37th will be Justin Vandermarl in the number 18 Kyle Busch Memorial car. Michael Goodman will start in 38th there. Garrison Hogan didn't put down, I believe, a qualifying lap. He'll start 39th alongside Harrison Talon, who also didn't put down a qualifying lap, in 40th. That'll round out our field tonight for the 3-wide TV 400, Zach. It's going to be a foggy one. You'll note that fog. That is on iRacing side. We got that realistic weather. That's just what Florida is like on sim time, November 8th, 2026. It was foggy. So that'll be, I guess it's just what it's expecting to be in Florida and Miami about this time in November. So apologies, but that's just how the dice were cast, as Daniel Falkingham will take this field to the green to start the 3-wide TV 400. He'll be flanked by Caleb Pecumer. Really good qualifying effort there for the Lake Norman Motorsports number 59. We'll be sure to talk about it. The pace car heads down pit lane, and we are racing for the final time in 2026A. Falkingham and Pecumer down into turn number 1. That 39 car rotates to the bottom of the racetrack. Pecumer rolls the outside lane. The Lake Norman Chevys will be side by side for second behind Daniel Falkingham. Now Ethan Stanley dives out from behind Scott Crump. He'll look for the 3rd position, trying to take advantage of track position early and get in front of that 66 car. Stanley inside of Crump. former teammates, these three cars racing here. The two Lake Norman Chevys team up on the outside lane. They draft back past Ethan Stanley. Pecumer has second. The battle remains ongoing for third. Josh Chin challenging Blake Reynolds up on the outside of the racetrack as the field continues to race 2 and 3 wide around this. What you call it? Boy, the banking at Homestead is, you got to have the name for it. Oh, Zach Steffend. All right, well, I'll just wax poetic about it. Daniel Falkingham runs the fastest lap of the race. Progressive banking, that's the one. The progressive banking at Homestead allows these guys to run multiple lanes, multiple grooves. You're seeing it here. The battle as Gavin Hibbs drives down to the inside past Blake Reynolds. Reynolds giving up a few spots in the early going in his pursuit for 3 consecutive championships, but we've seen this out of the 66 car all season long. He doesn't really press in the early stages of the run, and as the race goes on, as those green flag runs start to take hold, the 66 car comes to life and becomes a real threat for the lead. For now, though, he is back in 7th. Trying to take advantage, and I think we've got Zach back. There is your stage points and stage format, Dave. It's been up for a second. You are good. Lap 4 coming to complete lap 4 here. Falkingham still leads. I do want to call attention to the pylon on the left side of your screen. The cars with orange numbers are the cars mathematically eligible for the championship. There is a bit of a level to that. Ethan Stanley is just 10 points behind Blake Reynolds at the beginning of the night, so he is very much alive for the championship. But Gavin Hibbs there does have an orange number, but he will effectively need maximum points over these 3 stages, and everybody else in this championship hunt to get no stage points and very, very few race points at the end of the night in order for him to have a chance. So there is a little bit of a difference here for some of these guys. Effectively, it's Falkingham, Stanley, and Reynolds that are the real drivers that have a big-time shot at this.
And you may have touched on this while I was trying to do some troubleshooting, but Daniel Falkingham, by virtue of qualifying on the pole, did earn a bonus point in that championship battle as well.
Yeah, that's a good start for the 39 of Daniel Falkingham, and I think we would definitely have expected, especially after last week, that car was going to lead a lap tonight. He's certainly been strong enough to get that done this season.
So actually, that's 2 bonus points, one for the pole and one for leading a lap. We'll see who leads the most laps, of course.
And Daniel Falkingham's been a pretty good shoe-in. He's done that quite a bit this season in that 39 car. Field has sorted out pretty effectively. Chad Frankenfield just gave a bump to Jonathan Cutlip in the middle of the field here. Ray Bracey is side by side with Gavin Higgins just behind that group. This is the best battle on the racetrack, kind of this mid-pack fight. Bracey in the middle in the 7 car. Johnny Thomas is that cream and red car up top, 3 wide around the outside of Ray Bracey, and Johnny Thomas is going to pick up a couple of spots. Driving for Little Eagle Racing all season long. Johnny has kind of picked and chosen his races this year, and he's had a good time. He's had a lot of good runs, almost won the World 600 a couple of, about a month and a half ago at this point, as Daniel Gore battles, I believe that's Carlos Acosta. That's Jared Rexing.
That's Jared Rexing, yeah. That's quick and not Inca Cola. Hard to tell in the smog or the fog or whatever we've got going on here, but
we will have to apologize in advance for the drivers we don't get right. Daniel Gore's car is pretty easy to spot. Obviously, the green and red colors from the Jeremy Mayfield Mountain Dew-based theme that car was thrown back to. He's a chase driver as Daniel Gore, but he's had a pretty miserable chase. Been involved in a lot of incidents not of his own making. Last week, hit the bump on the track and spun him out, got him in the back of the field, was back on the lead lap in position as I believe that's Dusty Dewar in the wall up top. Everybody streams by on the inside. Dewar falling back. I suppose it's a decent time to note that's a Gerald Campbell theme This paint scheme, one of Gerald's old paint schemes, really, for Dusty Dewar. He qualified up in the 10th spot. He's fallen way back after getting a piece of the wall. Gerald had appendicitis. He's in the hospital right now. Hi, Gerald, if you're watching. Hope you're doing better. Dusty and his teammate Michael Goodman, as Goodman jumps to the inside. Oh, Gavin Higgins is sideways in front of him. This might be a caution. Higgins bounced off a Ty McIntosh. He did straighten up the 20 car. That was very nearly a disaster. Gavin Higgins was completely sideways in the middle of turns 1 and 2.
And we've seen a couple of moments here already. Obviously, that one with Dustin Dewar, and now this, and we'll get a look at the replay here with Gavin Higgins. Looks like it just got out from underneath him, maybe overdrive the entry a little bit.
Piece of poor Ty McIntosh.
Yes.
That's about right, given the way that 10-car season has gone. But Higgins is back going. Looks like maybe a little bit of when he crossed over that seam from the outside to the inside. That's kind of what loosened that car up. I wonder if we'll see more of that as this race goes on. These guys have a lot of laps to complete, 267 circuits this evening. Josh Adams challenging Corey Abbott. This is a battle for 9th, right behind David Tooker. No change near the front of the field. Everybody's sorted it out single file up front. Falkingham is about a half a second lead on Caleb Pecumer, the World 600 winner. And everybody's sorted out, learning the track. It definitely feels like a full distance race with the way this race has opened up here, Zach.
And blessing and a curse, I imagine. I admittedly didn't do a poll of the drivers or anything like that, but Homestead's definitely one of the favorites amongst the racers. They love, I mean, what you've already seen, that you can run the bottom, you can run the top, you can run the middle, you can make the car work however you want it to work. But sometimes it's a love-hate relationship, even with these full-distance races, even a track you do enjoy. So we will see how that plays into this championship. We've seen the full distance for a championship race a couple of times now in the Belly Up Sports Cup Series.
Oh, battle for second ongoing here as Ethan Stanley got to the outside of Caleb Pecumer, using those multiple lanes you were talking about, Zach, and Stanley rockets on past Pecumer. That battle, even just that little bit of side-by-side action, has allowed Daniel Falkingham to pull out to nearly a second over the second and third place cars. Now Scott Crump inside of his teammate Pecumer. Josh Chin almost into the back of Pecumer entering turn 1. Caleb's going to be able to sort it out in the middle lane, but Chin has a big run on the outside. Gavin Hibbs challenging on the bottom in that number 95 car, and he'll slot in line behind Josh Chin. A couple of the Kyle Busch throwback themes. We did not get a chance last week to see this 95 car on the racetrack. Gavin Hibbs obviously missing the race. I think it was some off-track commitments that Gavin was forced to be a part of and effectively ruined his championship fight. He's still, like I said, still mathematically eligible, but it's been a great season for Gavin Hibbs. He's won 2 races, had a ton of speed all year, kind of effectively been the third fastest car all season long. Definitely has a chance to end the season strong and set up a really strong 2026 B for this 95.
Definitely one of the guys that's been just so impressive with his consistency this season, and even, stepping up and having those big moments over the course of the season. Got that win at Talladega, of course, that really helped him in this playoff, as well as the win in the second race of the season at Chicagoland that kind of put everything into motion. Obviously, as you've mentioned, not as many of the, a couple of, poor finishes or missing a race here in this chase has kind of knocked him just ever so out of championship contention, but still playing money on the line. For guys outside that championship picture, he's still got plenty to race for tonight.
Yeah, he'll be fighting against Ethan Burrell, Matthew Weeks, Jonathan Cutlip for kind of that top 5, top 4 spot in behind the front runners there. Josh Chin, Caleb Pecumer battling side by side right in front of Gavin Hibbs. Hibbs looking for a way through, and just behind him, a new paint scheme for the 66 car of Blake Reynolds, running that green and black car this time, and trying to lock in that third consecutive championship with a brand new look. I'm not sure what the sponsorship is. If Blake wins or finishes on the podium tonight, we'll have to get an idea
Oh,
from him on what this scheme is.
I'm sure he'll be happy to let us know what the story is there.
Rolling the outside lane around Josh Chin, his teammate. He'll be going after Gavin Hibbs here. Good defensive driving from Caleb Pecumer in fourth. He was able to hold off Chin, who worked the bottom lane, maybe even heated up the tires a little bit on that 93 car. And Chin falls back to seventh, but that whole group has a second and a half really on Corey Abbott there. So, it's good to be kind of in a pack like that where you're able to make time, pull away from the cars behind you, and especially stay out of the back of the field. We've seen a lot of 2 and 3 wide racing back there. This group has been single file pretty much the majority of the race, with those few battling exceptions. As here comes Blake Reynolds underneath Gavin Hibbs. Hibbs rolls over entering turn 3, lets that 66 car go, and Reynolds up to 5th. And Zach, if Blake Reynolds can run 5th here tonight, I believe that's kind of mathematically all it would take to lock up this championship. And he needs to be on his game, but I mean, he's right where he needs to be in order to get this done. It's a lot less, I think, strenuous a little bit in this final race because of this chase format. Reynolds obviously winning the championship by winning the final race in each of the last 2 seasons in the playoff format, but tonight he's able to take his accomplishments on the season and use those to have a more comfortable final race.
Certainly that's helping his position. Obviously came down there at the end last week at North Wilkesboro between at points we saw Blake Reynolds battling up front. At times it was obviously our eventual winner Jonathan Cutlip. Ethan Stanley was there in the mix, Daniel Falkingham, but Blake Reynolds just put himself in a really smart position, a really good position to try and seal this thing up tonight. We'll see. Obviously, 400 miles is a long way. Things can happen. We saw that with Daniel Falkingham, right? At New Hampshire. So far from out of the woods for any of these guys. And even on Monday night, we saw it in the Grand National Series. Tate Lytle minding his own business and getting caught up in an incident not of his doing late in the race. It was probably, the math may not have been in his favor before that point, but it certainly wasn't in his favor after that incident. And pretty much guaranteed that the championship went the other way.
Right, and that's I called it when Ethan Stanley slid last week at Wilkesboro and went up the track. It seemed like that was a perfect spot, right, for Ethan Stanley to maximize his opportunity to go in next week, or coming into this week to take the win. And that just, it hasn't worked out, right? Ethan Stanley still chasing his first Belly Up Sports Cup Series championship, but running second would be a strong result for Ethan Stanley as we continue to watch this battle between Matthew Weeks, Johnny Thomas, Chad Frankenfield, Jonathan Cutlip, all right around 11th spot is this crew. But yeah, it's a matter of, for Ethan Stanley, it's a matter of not bottling up that late race restart, and he would have probably 6 or 7 more points that he could utilize to keep Blake Reynolds close, right? But that gap growing to 10 points, Falkingham obviously having the issues at Kansas with the regarding shifting and blowing the motor, and those types of mistakes were mistakes that carry over to this race tonight at Homestead. And you can't just void those mistakes because this race is not an eliminator race, right? The first place finisher of the championship drivers is not going to win the championship necessarily. Battle on track between Ray Bracey, Ryan Borges, Paul Mikolajczyk. This is a battle for the 21st spot. Jesse Racimus just went around. It looks like Ray struggling a little bit with the old and worsening tires on this South Shore Racing number 7 as he yields a spot to Ryan Borges. He'll challenge back to the inside. Oh, yeah. Big moment for Ray Bracey entering the corner.
Yeah, I think that was an adjustment gone wrong there. Ray has been pretty consistently running the fence. I think he saw he was losing ground doing that, decided to try something different, and just didn't quite know how to run that different line when he went down there, and it took off towards the wall.
Yep. A little extra grip, a lot of clean air on the nose, but now Ray back up to the outside lane, battling Michael Hosack. This all a battle outside the top 20 up front. It is still Daniel Falkingham with a 1.7 second lead. Blake Reynolds, Gavin Hibbs both got around Caleb Bacumer while we were back in the field watching the various fights. Still single file up here in this group, so we can jump back to the dogfighting going on back there around Ray Bracey. Here's Trey Holmes working the Skittles machine up closer to the front. There's 3 wide. Justin Vandermarl way down to the inside. Seth Rawls towards the outside lane. Jaden Racimus is that purple and yellow number 1 car there. Oh, Seth Rawls not clear.
And Jaden Racimus, what a start to his night. You remember, he did get an EOL at the start of the race for a tally accumulation, so he's had to put in some work to get back up to currently 25th.
It's a good battle. Gavin Higgins is that 20, the all black 20 car there, working the middle lane. Now trying to thread the middle 3 wide. Little bit of a close moment there between Higgins and Rawls. This dogfighting continues as everyone's kind of bottled up behind Ray right now. That 7 car using that outside lane, like you mentioned, I think he's paying the price for it a little bit when it comes to the tire wear.
And we've sung that story so many times over the course of our time broadcasting here in the Belly Up Sports Cup Series that that tends to be the trend regardless of the track. If it is one of these multi-groove tracks, the outside lane will have the speed until you use up or overheat those tires.
It was a close one. Ray Bracey and Jaden Racimus almost made contact there in turn 3. Up towards the front, Jonathan Cutlip has moved into 9th, bypassing Corey Abbott. And I know they're 3 wide back here again. Dave, good work clicking on this one. This battle continues on. And if we do get our first yellow, this kind of looks like where it might happen at. But I do want to, when we can, get back up to that Jonathan Cutlip machine. He's moved forward after winning the race last week. There's still 3 wide back there. Here's the Cutlip car. Before the race, I noted this, and I wanted to throw it out on the air, but I think this is the best that lime yellow, highlighter yellow, number 5 has ever looked. And that's regardless of the throwback. I think this car looks fantastic, but what a great way to incorporate the highlighter yellow race EPI car that we've seen Jonathan Cutlip race for the longest time, but by incorporating the blue, adding the Kyle Busch style number and everything, I think this car just looks fantastic, looks mean, and here's hoping Jonathan Cutlip can get up there and maybe challenge for the championship. I think it'll be kind of a difficult one for him, but he won the race last week, right? And he's certainly got a shot. He's got a ton of momentum. I think he even won the last 2 races, if I'm not mistaken.
He has won in Kansas and North Wilkesboro these last 2 races. So definitely riding some momentum, Jonathan Cutlip, in that 5 car.
And think about how different this season would have been if this was a finale, winner take all finale for a guy like Jonathan Cutlip riding the momentum of 2 consecutive wins. That could really change things. I mean, the potential that one of Falkingham or Reynolds was not in the Final 4 would have been quite high. As it stands, right, I've talked about it. I'm going to keep talking about it in this final race. You guys might get sick of me talking about it, but the body of work is just so important, right? What those guys have been able to do for the entirety of the season has mattered in a lot more this year than any other. We've seen Jonathan Cutlip have even maybe better seasons in the past years and lose the race in the late stages because it's a winner take all final race. There were no points associated, right? So yeah, I'm excited to see how this thing plays out. Obviously, Daniel Falkingham dusting the field early in this one, but as you mentioned earlier on, there's so much time left in this race, so many twists and turns yet to occur. David Tooker working underneath Corey Abbott. That is a battle for 11th. Give it to David Tooker. He is now behind Matthew Weeks. Weeks has risen into the top 10. Very light chance Weeks is back there right around the Gavin Hibbs car in terms of points. Obviously had some crashes last week. I think salvaged a decent finish, but it just hasn't quite been the season I think Matthew Weeks was hoping for.
No. Coming in tonight, 7th in that points battle. And like you say, just really hasn't been probably the season he was really hoping for. Did get the one win at Echo Park Speedway, but otherwise, I mean, it's just been not quite to the high standards Matthew Weeks holds. And that has reflected in this championship fight.
Right. And we've got a moment here. The field is a little bit spread out. Dusty Dewar is running by himself. We did say we'd bring him up. I hesitated to bring him up while he's driving, especially while Daniel Falkingham bears down on him, but Falkingham's a little bit up the road. So I think we can grab Dusty Dewar and bring him up to the booth and give him his brief time here. So Dusty, quick word with you while you're pacing around back in 38th. We saw you get a piece of the wall there earlier, but we heard you had a buddy in the hospital that needed a shout out.
Yeah, big shout out to Gerald Campbell. I'm driving his aggressive Eagle paint scheme tonight along with Michael Goodman in the 44 machine. So yeah, we're wishing Gerald well. I told him I'd get him some TV time. Unfortunately, I didn't want it to be for me, but here's a yellow, boys. Thank you for what you do. God bless you and have a good night.
Have a good night, Dusty. We appreciate it. And let's go figure out what this yellow's for.
It's Jared Rexing for sure, as you see the meatball flag show up on the screen, and he is parked before he towed on the exit of turn 4 on the front stretch. We'll see what happens.
Oh.
Apron bad. And head on into the wall. Apron
bad is right. Not unlike what we saw a lot last week at North Wilkesboro, where those cars hit the bumps. You hit that paint is a little bit slick. You got a little extra grip. Sometimes guys go down there to get grip when the car is really tight, but this next gen car is so snappy loose. You go down there, get the little extra grip on the left side tires. All of a sudden, the spoiler is out in the air, car spinning out to the left, and Jared tried to catch it, corrected it back up into the outside wall hard. That'll end a successful season for Jared Rexing. I thought he was quite strong this year in this next gen car. I believe he's one of the charters being vacated at the end of the year, if I'm not mistaken. But Jared had a really solid season, had some races where he maybe could have won. It obviously never panned out, and he wound up in the garage a little more often than not, but I thought he was very competitive.
Definitely very competitive. Made this playoff, or just missed out rather on the playoff field, was kind of in that battle for the best of the rest. We'll see how that works out for him. Probably hurt his chances of picking that up, but yeah, tough break for Jared Rexing to end.
Oh, Dusty Dewar just spun out on pit entry. Everybody heading down pit road. Dusty Dewar is the car you see there, spun out. Somebody got on the binders a little hard in front of him, and he went spinning to avoid him. And we're still on replay. He's stretched her back out, but yeah, here we go. I think maybe the transition actually from the track to the apron. Apron bad, Zach.
It is.
Yeah. Race off pit road, won by Daniel Falkingham. While we have a moment, we'll go ahead and jump to a commercial break here, and we'll be back for the conclusion of stage 1 here in the 3-wide TV 400.
Tickets are on sale now for the 5th Detroit, Illinois 300 at Worldwide Technology Raceway. September 11th through 13th brings a full weekend of action with the NASCAR Cup Series, NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, and St. Louis's biggest music festival, Confluence. The stars shine on and off the track, and your ticket gets you everything: cars, concerts, camping, food, and fun. Don't miss it. Get your tickets now and save big at WWTRaceway.com.
If you've been waiting for the right time to upgrade, that time is now. Score up to $4,000 off on a 26 brand new Ford Explorer. And our Ford Explorers come with the Bolin Lifetime Powertrain Warranty. So get to Tom Bolin Ford in Hannibal. Heck of a deal, ain't it?
Welcome back to the 3 Wide TV 400 lap 43 of 267 in the books. We're ending our first caution. Daniel Falkingham has led all of the circuits so far in his pursuit of a championship to dethrone Blake Reynolds. He'll be flanked by Ethan Stanley, one of the other championship contenders in this fight. We are set to go green flag racing once again. Falkingham with an excellent restart in the zone. Gets a big jump over Ethan Stanley, but Stanley is clear of Scott Crump for second as Gavin Hibbs side by side with Crump for the third spot as the two championship contenders scoot away.
Oh, Ryan Gable already in the fence trying to get that high line to work.
Oh, there's contact. There's contact. They managed not to wreck.
That was Trey Holmes and Chad Frankenfield, not far in front of that Ryan Gable 01 car I was talking about. Somehow they've got it sorted out, and Chad Frankenfield lost a couple of spots as a result of that.
Here we go, 3 wide into turn 1. Josh Adams in the middle, Tooker on the bottom, Chad Frankenfield and Ryan Gable up to the top lane. These restarts at Homestead are crazy. These guys are really aggressive here on this second restart. They recognized that the opening couple of laps were the times to make up some ground, and Jonathan Cutlip's been aggressive. He's up to 6th. Caleb Pacumer is kind of the one on a backslide right now. He's back to 8th after restarting up in the 5th spot. Here comes Gavin Hibbs way up on the outside lane. Josh Chin got up there in the outside lane. Johnny Thomas is working the top. Everybody trying to get as much as they can here on this restart in the middle part of the race. I mean, stage points aren't even going to pop around until lap 80. There's a whole lot of time left in this stage, but there's a lot more aggression than there was at the start of the race.
Racimus is sideways. There's another car sideways as well, but Racimus has spun back into the turn 2 wall, and that will bring out our second caution of the evening.
Oh, and that part of that might be part of the reason some of those guys were so aggressive, right? I mean, cautions tend to breed cautions when it comes to this league in particular, and let's see what happened to Jesse Racimus here. Got a little help.
Yep. Tally has already been issued to Seth Rawls. I think it may have been either Jeff Green or Kurt Gibson that saved it, but was also getting pretty sideways, probably in the checkup to that incident that I happened to see out the corner of my eye as it was happening. It must not have been Kurt. It may be Jeff Green, because it was definitely lower on. Oh, yeah, Jeff Green with just the slightest tap there from Gilberto Javier Gamera, but he's able to hang on to it in the stack up there.
Good work by Jeff Green to hang on to the 2 car. I wanted to pull up the standings, the full season standings, so I could get a piece of the Jesse Racimus car. Jesse Racimus he has had a struggle bus of a season, to say the least. Just 2 top 10 finishes, been in the behind the wall a lot, and this latest wreck kind of encapsulates what has been a difficult season for the driver of the 80 car. It started off not great with a wreck in Daytona, and it's, I think, kind of snowballed from there as Dusty Dewar will get the lucky dog. But yeah, poor Jesse Racimus just had a tough season, and you'll have that in a series like this. For as much as we've seen some of these guys having incredible seasons, guys winning races, and it's resulting in Jesse's going to end up taking a step back. I think it's also work related. But yeah, I think the 80 car this will be the last time you see the full season of the 80 car for at least this next upcoming season. So,
and you touch on only having a couple of top 10s this season. Those had come in the last 2 races. It was shaping up like, even though he was planning to step away, he was at least going to go out on a high note after a strong finish at Kansas, and a top 10 finish at North Wilkesboro. I don't know if anybody would say they had a good day at North Wilkesboro, but he did get a top 10 finish there. But like you say, not the start to the evening Jesse Racimus hoped for.
He is going to be able to remain in the lead lap, as is Dusty Dewar, both of them fixing some damage. That was really the only set of green flag stops to occur. Checking quickly on And 9 sets of tires. I believe that's in total. So they would have started with 8 in the pits. Everybody's got about 7 sets left. You can't come take tires after just 5 laps, unfortunately. So no real strategy change here. Those guys did fix just mostly damage, I'm sure. So to re-rack, Daniel Falkingham, the race leader. He's led all of our 50 laps thus far in this one. Ethan Stanley will restart in second. Scott Crump starts third. Blake Reynolds made up 2 spots there on the last restart. Went from 6th to 4th. He's now in striking distance of the lead. Gavin Hibbs will restart 5th. Jonathan Cutlip had a really good restart there. Good aggression in the outside lane. He will restart in 6th. Then it's Matthew Weeks, Josh Chin, Caleb Pecumer, and Ryan Gable will get the outside lane once again. He was very strong on the last restart. Let's see what these guys can do. Second caution complete. Daniel Falkingham leading us to the restart zone, and we are racing once again. Another really good restart for the leader, Daniel Falkingham. Not as good of a start this time for Ethan Stanley. He's going to have to battle against Scott Crump. Blake Reynolds, his teammate, looking to the outside. Jonathan Cutlip all the way up to the wall. Look how much, honestly, I see a lot more aggression from those guys working the outside lane. It wasn't going to work for Ethan Stanley this time, though. Scott Crump's going to grab second. We know Scott Crump's going to be quite aggressive here going for this race win. He's got to go after Daniel Falkingham, and Scott's been quite quick, especially at these 1.5-mile tracks. Now under fire from Ethan Stanley. Stanley working back to the inside of Scott Crump, side by side behind. Now Gavin Hibbs tucks in behind Blake Reynolds. Daniel Falkingham out to a big lead. They're 3 wide for second.
3 wide for second with 2 of those championship contenders. But like you say, Scott Crump, he's got to be hungry to get back to victory lane. He's going to be... Oh, he's out of shape!
Sideways! Blake Reynolds gave him a little shot entering the corner. Scott got way out of shape. And carried just a little too much speed on corner entry there. He backed it up. Josh Chin gives him a little bump draft down the back straightaway. Scott's going to lose a couple of spots, but a fantastic save by the driver of the 90 car. Reminiscent of the guy whose paint scheme is on that car. Matthew Weeks looking to the bottom of his best buddy Scott Crump. Crump trying to, I think, get those tires cooled down and get them a little more happy. They're certainly going to be upset.
And that's half the battle with this next-gen car, right? Even sometimes when the wear isn't as bad, if you let those temperatures get too high, it can cost you 2 or 3 laps of trying to get the car back under control.
And you can see that Scott Crump's kind of still hemorrhaging time, doing his best to maintain on this outside lane. It is stacking up the group behind him as he's able to kind of run this first seam pretty effectively. Hold off Matthew Weeks for now. Up front, Daniel Falkingham is again out to a big lead over Ethan Stanley and Blake Reynolds. Gavin Hibbs sits in 4th. Jonathan Cutlip has done a fantastic job driving through the field. He sits in 5th. Battle between the Lake Norman Chevys back here around 12th spot. It's Ryan Gable overtaking Caleb Pecumer. And you've got David Tooker, Paul Mikolajczyk, Johnny Thomas, Ethan Burrell, after a bad qualifying effort, has risen up to the 16th spot, and he's looking for more on the outside lane, trying to go around Corey Abbott. Hornet's nest of cars just outside the top 10 here.
And obviously up front, they've been able to get single file and sort everything out. But I think when you get into this mid-pack, the margins are already so slim. All of these guys are so competitive, so close together in speed, both on the short run and the long run. And then you give them a multi-groove track like this, and you can run wherever you want, but it's still just so hard to complete a pass. And that's kind of how you get these logjam situations that you're seeing right now.
Chad Frankenfield is here in 10th. Ryan Gable chasing him down. He's in behind Josh Adams, who's up to 8th, with Josh Chin sitting right behind in 9th. Oh, Gable hit the apron just like Jared Rexing washes up the racetrack. That'll open the door for David Tooker. Big moment for Ryan Gable. He is able to hang on to it. Gable trying to get as far away from the apron as possible this lap. He jumps to the outside.
Understandable.
I would too. It makes a lot of sense, right? You hit that apron. Let me get away from that. There's a whole racetrack. Oh, Ray Bracey into the wall. Down the back straightaway. Might have been a little bit of contact from Garrison Hogan. Yeah, I think there is. Ray Bracey dives down onto the door of that 55 car. Doesn't look like too much cosmetic damage on the 7, but you don't see Ray Bracey crowding people very often. I don't think he was real pleased, but jumps up the racetrack a little bit, gives the bottom to that 55 and gives him room.
Oh, somebody just went exit stage left. Didn't catch who it was there. I think they kept it straight. But...
I think it was Josh Adams. Jesse Racimus down pit road. The damage on that car pretty severe. In fact, he might have even had a moment in turn 2 where this car got around on him. Yep. Oh, that looked like a wheel disconnect or something.
Yeah, that's weird. That's really weird. And that was not what I saw because I was much further back, but have to imagine that's going to, even if the mechanical issue resolved itself, I have to imagine that killed the right front of car 80.
It's tough break for sure there for Jesse Racimus as he tried to kind of overcome the initial wreck. But yeah, that kind of encapsulates the season, unfortunately, for Jesse, as Chad Frankenfield continues to battle with Josh Chin outside the top 10. I'm on my screen, I'm looking a little further back. Big battle between Gavin Higgins and Corey Abbott. Daniel Gore now working to the outside of both of them. He's going to look 3 wide. Almost ran out of room there, but they managed to hang on to it. 3 wide down the back straightaway. Higgins clears Abbott. Little shot from Abbott into the rear of Gavin Higgins. Gore and Hogan working to the outside of those two. Oh, Higgins sliding up the track in front of Daniel Gore. Couple of guys that do not give an inch right there. Oh, Hogan move down the track in front of Corey Abbott. That's going to be a big wreck. It's going to be Gilberto, Nigel Stock, Brent Jones, Michael Hosack. More damage. That might have been Rob Mooney to get a piece of Gilberto. I couldn't tell who it was that got a big piece of Gilberto, but I think it was Rob Mooney driving by. And a big wreck in turn 1 will end the season of a few competitors here. It looked like 55 went to get out from behind Daniel Gore, but lifted a little too much. Oh, I couldn't tell. I think it was Rob Mooney. Yeah, that car is destroyed on the inside of the racetrack, so. Yeah, I mean, Gilberto's committed to the outside lane there. There's not a whole lot he can do. He's on the binders. Mooney gets a piece of him there. That tears the right front off the 84 car. On board with Rob. He sees the wreck. Trying to back off, but you can see there's a car low. And then they start sliding down. I mean, he probably, hindsight's 20/20, he probably should have just gotten on the binders, given that there were cars behind, nobody behind him and cars to his left. So we have some strategy. Ethan Stanley stays on the racetrack. Gavin Hibbs stays on the racetrack with him, and nobody else. Zach, I tell you what, I don't understand nobody else staying out. I don't mind this strategy from Ethan Stanley, getting off sequence from Daniel Falkingham. It's going to be, and Blake Reynolds, it's going to be what it requires to win this championship, is have something go your way. That said, why didn't anybody else stay out? Try to get some track position, maybe save a set of tires. Chris Wright's not here. Chris Wright would have done it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm sure Ethan Stanley was expecting more people to stay out because that would have given him a nice little buffer to maybe get some clean air and if Daniel Falkingham had to pass 10 or 12 cars in 12 laps, it'd be a lot harder for him to win this upcoming stage. We'll see what Dirty Air does to that 39 car, but Dirty Air and fresher tires versus clean air and the older tires, it could be we'll see how this plays out as we go towards the end of the stage.
The one advantage we will note, Ethan Stanley picking up a lap lead. That'll be a bonus point for him.
Yes.
And as we look through the field here, there were some strategy calls. Ethan Burrell, 2 tires, still be lining up in 4th. Might be it, though, honestly. I don't really see anybody else jumping a ton of spots. It's really just Ethan Burrell who's moved up into the top 5. Love that call by the 37 car. Again, started 27th on the day, up to 4th already. Zach, it took him 64 laps to make up for that qualifying effort. So Ethan Burrell having a really strong start. Good strategy call here. I'm interested to see. This is one of those things where, Ethan Stanley might lose the lead. He might even lose a lot of track position here, but what he might gain is, I think Nigel Stock did not beat the pace car off pit road.
Yeah, I was about to say we need to do one of 2 things here, and I'm nervous that the one we did might delay this yellow. Hopefully he'll be able to maintain enough speed while he's dropping to the bottom, or dropping to the rear rather.
I think if he just runs the access road, he'll be okay here, but it hasn't delayed yet. We should be all right. Pace car heading off. We'll see what happens with Ethan Stanley and Gavin Hibbs having stayed on the racetrack while everyone else pitted behind them on 20-lap tires. Green flag back out. Great restart for Ethan Stanley. It does pin Daniel Falkingham back behind Gavin Hibbs. Falkingham dives to the inside entering turn 1. Hibbs has to hold the middle lane 3 wide for second. Ethan Burrell working that outside lane. Falkingham, those new tires on the inside. Hibbs trying to hold strong in the middle. Blake Reynolds, nowhere to go.
Absolutely nowhere to go for that 66 car. 3 wide in front of him. Surely he's not going to try to make it 4.
It's not going to be 4. Gavin Hibbs blocks in behind Daniel Falkingham. Now Reynolds dives all the way to the bottom, top to bottom. 3 wide and underneath Gavin Hibbs and Ethan Burrell. Burrell and Reynolds clear past Hibbs. And they'll go after Ethan Stanley once again. Reynolds now up to 3rd in his pursuit for 3 in a row. Not clear for it yet. Challenged by Burrell. Burrell with that outside line momentum moves back past Reynolds. Reynolds dives to the inside, looking for that 3rd spot, trying to be in line behind Daniel Falkingham. All he has to do is keep that gap as minimum as he can, and Reynolds can walk away from this race the champion. Stanley out in front in the clean air. The old tires not seeming to matter just yet, but Falkingham closing in on him quickly.
Did see it popped up on the screen. Daniel Falkingham resetting his fastest lap of the race. He maintains that bonus point on the offering for the fastest lap of the race.
Yep, got to get as many points as you can. If you're Daniel Falkingham, came into the race 29 down, obviously 13 laps till the stage. That's another big part of what Ethan Stanley is going for, trying to grab that clean air, hold this lead for 13 laps, and then hope a yellow drops that he can come down and get some tires. That said, it's going to be a tall task, right, for Ethan Stanley here to hold off Daniel Falkingham for 12 more laps. He's probably going to need help from some yellows. That's not impossible from the racing we're seeing through the field here.
Oh, it certainly isn't. We've already seen a little bit of contact and attrition and definitely aggression early on. Not a lot of give and take once you get in that mid-pack.
Definitely not. Oh, man, Josh Chin in the wall. Just behind Josh Adams. The Dirty Air got on the nose of that 22 car and got on the nose of the 93, shoved him in the fence. 3 wide, middle of the pack. Gavin Hibbs still sliding back, still in the stage points, but kind of right about to fall out of them. Up front, Daniel Falkingham is on the rear bumper of Ethan Stanley, stalking him. It's not going to be long, Zach. It's really not. Stanley is really up against it here.
I mean, when you say up against it, right up against that rear bumper of Ethan Stanley coming out turn 4, they'll go side by side into turn 1. I think Falkingham's got to have it done here.
Yeah, clears Ethan Stanley for the race lead here. Lap 70 of 267. Obviously, a lot of time left, and Ethan Stanley could certainly still pick up some stage points, but look who's in his mirror, right? That's the guy he needs to gain points on right there is his teammate Blake Reynolds. And as they come up on the lapped car of Jesse Racimus, Stanley dives into the corner, tries to keep Reynolds down. They all have to rise up the racetrack to get around Jesse Racimus. That's going to open the door for Daniel Falkingham to clear on by, but those Channel 199 cars still haven't sorted out P2.
And because they haven't sorted out, now they're kind of stuck behind Jesse Racimus. He has created a bit of a buffer, and that has allowed Daniel Falkingham to open up, nearly 0.4 of a second here.
A big couple of laps for Falkingham. Unfortunately for Stanley, Reynolds rolls on by to P2, and the two-time champ looking to win 3 in a row for the first time since Tate Lytle, and I believe that's the 2021 to 2022 seasons. Might be 22 to 23. Either way, been since Tate. And anybody's been able to do that. Stanley up here in third, trying to win his first. Matthew Weeks up to fourth. Really strong restart and set of laps for Matthew Weeks. He has been able to change the course of this day, where he was kind of, I don't want to say out to lunch, qualified 18th. He was kind of mid-pack at the early start of this race, and he has risen up to be a challenger inside the top 5. Jesse Racimus, with the fresher tires, has gotten up to the rear bumper of Daniel Falkingham and is starting to apply some pressure and forcing Falkingham to run a line that is not the one he wants to run. It's allowing Blake Reynolds to close the gap a little bit.
Definitely an interesting aspect of this. From Racimus's standpoint, sure, he's 11 laps down, but lots of time left in this race. He's got to try and, if he has a way to knock that down from 11 to 10, who knows? That might be, if this turns into a caution fest, that could be, I guess, beneficial.
I don't know if it would be, right? But at any rate, he's also allowed to race on the racetrack.
Yes.
And I don't think he's bothering anybody other than Falkingham, and that's trying to get a lap back from the race leader. That's well within his rights as a lapped car. Matthew Weeks has driven around Ethan Stanley for the third position. Stanley falls to fourth. He probably would have gotten second place stage points there, Zach, if he had come down pit road and put tires on it, but I really don't fault him for this call. I just think there should have maybe been more cars that stayed on the racetrack, and as the tires wear for everybody around him, Stanley should be able to save that set of tires and maybe put it on late in the race and try to charge through the field like Falkingham did last week at Wilkesboro.
Certainly that's the hope. You hope that you kind of need it to continue in this trend of getting some cautions every few laps. If you get a long green flag run here, then the benefit of that extra set of tires goes away, not to mention the ground you'll lose on all these people on fresher tires. So certainly he'll be hoping for a timely caution or two along the way, but not, again, we're not even at the end of the first stage yet, so it's too early to say that Ethan Stanley is doomed from this decision.
Right, a lot of time left, and he and Gavin Hibbs have kind of equaled out already. Hibbs back in 9th, he's starting to make ground back up on people. He's jumped to the inside of Josh Chin, in fact, right here. So, there's definitely going to be some benefit, I think, to staying out, especially if those two can pick up stage points. But, I question why no one else did. Well, it might be a skill issue. Stanley and Hibbs, two of our best, they can make the older tires work at good pace to get stage points. Other drivers, maybe not. It would have been a little bit more of a task and a little bit more difficult, maybe a little more painful to fall through the field on the older tires in the early part of this run. Those two have managed to make it work very well. I'm quite impressed, and it kind of looks like staying out late in the race is a viable strategy as well. Oh man.
Boy, that was tight.
It's Daniel Gore, Paul Mikolajczyk battling it out. Gavin Higgins rockets by Mikolajczyk, who had to lift not to get into Daniel Gore. And Danny G, driver of that number 69 car, he's a real defensive driver, likes to hold his position with the best of them. Real difficult to pass, and Paul Mikolajczyk experienced it right there. Gore held his lane quite firmly. You're going to see it again here as Gavin Hibbs works to the inside of that 69 car.
And let's remember, although The incident itself came from Garrison Hogan making the move that kind of started with Gavin Higgins with a really, really close clear, shall we say, on Daniel Gore coming out turn 4, and then all three of those cars were nose to tail the length of the front stretch. I'm sure Daniel Gore remembers that.
Mhm.
It's not going to do any favors for Gavin Higgins.
No, definitely not. As Ray Bracey looks to the inside of Giant Thomas. Unfortunately, all of this is outside the chase or the stage points. We are one to go in the stage. Daniel Falkingham is likely going to win stage 1, barring any sudden collapses. It'll be Blake Reynolds picking up second place stage points. That's bad news for the rest of the field and those looking to gain points on him. Ultimately, though, it'll be finishing position that determines this championship outright. Daniel Falkingham off turn 4. He'll win stage 1 at the line. Photo finish for 4th. It'll be Ethan Stanley picking up 4th place stage points. A good work to stay ahead of Jonathan Cutlip and minimize the loss there that he took to Blake Reynolds after staying on the racetrack. Gavin Hibbs 8th place on the stage points there as well. And trying to charge back forward. That 95 car, remember, is out on the older tires, but he is moving back towards the front.
Ooh.
Awfully tight racing here with Scott Crump, though. A couple of those Kyle Busch schemes.
Yep.
Not cutting each other any favors. Completely even through turns 1 and 2 between Scott Crump and Gavin Hibbs there.
And of course, at Homestead for this championship race, Gavin Hibbs with that crispy M&M scheme that Kyle Busch ran back in 2015 when he claimed his championship that year. Couldn't quite get around Scott Crump there.
No, and the outside line just proves to be a stronger defensive line for sure right now. It's probably also a stronger offensive line, but you can run the outside to kind of block off somebody's air. But if you try to pass on the inside, David Tooker, you see, did not jump out underneath to try to bypass Josh Adams. He ends up following in line and trying to find clean air above that 22 car. That ultimately will enable Adams to hold that spot for now. Here comes David Tooker this time to the inside lane, looking to get around Adams, and we'll see the power of that outside lane as Adams tries to wrap the outside, but he wasn't able to really pin down David Tooker at all, and Tooker will clear Adams going through turns 1 and 2.
So move David Tooker into the top 10 with that pass.
Oh, that car might have been the wall. Dusty Dewar trouble once again, although he might have taken a wave around. We'll have to look at it. But there looks to be some right side damage on this car that I don't think was there before. Nevertheless, we scroll back to find another tight battle. Ray Bracey. We've seen Ray side by side with a lot of folks tonight. He's working alongside Corey Abbott. Ryan Borges there in the green and white number 30. Also trying to bypass the number 7.
Oh, that's almost 4 wide behind them. And somehow they washed up into the wall without running into each other. This is the battle for 6 now on our screen. Ethan Burrell on the outside, Scott Crump on the inside. Gavin Hibbs behind them, as is Josh Chin. Crump really committed to that inside line at the moment.
Hello. There we go. We're back.
Back.
I got the cat bonked into the cord. Knocked it out. I don't know when you lost me. Probably
I
not
don't
too
know.
long ago.
When you stopped talking, that's when we lost you.
That doesn't help me at all because I was talking the whole time.
When it felt like I was talking over you, then probably.
Yeah, that's got to be right.
Yeah.
Ethan Burrell's starting to lose the ground out on those two tires. That's now finally starting to impact him just a little bit. This race having gone green here to the end of stage one, it'll hurt him on the track position. But again, I think the strategy call to go in and get some stage points, give yourself a shot to end up on a different strategy is particularly useful. It's really working for Ethan Stanley and Gavin Hibbs right now, though. Those two guys are maintaining top 10 running spots despite having one fewer set of tires on the cars.
Do you want any M&Ms?
There's a lot of M&Ms out there right now, I'll tell you.
A lot of M&Ms. Oh, is that Nigel stock? Yes.
I believe it is. Nigel had taken the access road last time through. There might be some damage on this 98 car. Daniel Gore, Johnny Thomas working their way past Nigel. Side-by-side battle just outside the top 10. For 11th, Chad Frankenfield inside, Josh Adams outside. Burrell with those two tires dumps the dirty air onto the nose of the Chad Frankenfield machine and drives away. Chad has to let up. He'll have to tuck in line behind Josh Adams as a result. Here comes Adams inside of Burrell. Now Frankenfield's turn to get in behind the 37 and try and drive on by.
I know there's not a ton in common between these cars and the...
Gavin Hibbs, big moment coming off turn 4. You see him there on the bottom of the racetrack. The old tires finally, I think, showing their age.
He washes all the way up the track there.
Yeah, he just got loose on corner exit, had to bail out of the gas and went all the way to the apron. And I wonder if we might see a similar fate to this car right in front of these two racing side by side, that being Ethan Stanley. But a seriously impressive drive to that point for Gavin Hibbs. I mean, he had been moving back forward. All right. Sorry to interrupt you with the top 10 car trying to wreck themselves.
All I was going to say was, obviously there's not a lot of similarities between this car and, say, the Indy car that we would run on Thursday nights here on the Elite Racing Network. But I wonder if, especially a track like Homestead, where pretty much everybody in that community has turned a ton of laps on the oval side, does some of the getting clean air on the nose translate? What lines to run and such as that for somebody like Chad Frankenfield?
I think that's probably useful info. I also think Chad's had some pretty strong runs of late in the other series. On Monday, he was an outside shot at winning the race. At Texas, had a really good strategy. He was battling with Matthew Weeks late in the going, and they made contact, got together down the back straightaway, and ultimately that took Chad out of the running. But here he is running inside the top 10 in this Belly Up Cup Sports finale. And when you think about the potential for folks to make strategy calls late in the going to see if they can't snag a win.
We saw it there on the screen. They must have
saved Chad. It was Chad. It was, of course it was Chad. He saved it. He's still going. But naturally, as we start to mention his name, around he goes.
Just got loose on him.
Yep.
Boy, very lucky to not get tagged there by Ryan Gaveless. They kind of accidentally crossed over each other on corner exit.
Yep. Yeah, that would have been a close one. But my point being, if Chad's able to maintain decent track position, obviously almost wiping out, not going to help any any on that front. But if he's able to maintain some sort of decent track position here, I would definitely put that car into a bucket of several cars that could make a call late in this race to try and win it on some sort of strategy call. And just keep an eye out for him. He might be one of the first to pit road. That's what he generally likes to do, be the car on the undercut. And That worked really well on Monday. It generally doesn't work at a place like Homestead, but it could give him a chance to catch a timely caution or something to that effect.
Sure. Absolutely.
Old tires starting to really hinder Ethan Stanley. He's back to 7th. We saw Gavin Hibbs go sliding on the front straightaway. In fact, here comes Ethan Stanley down pit lane. He'll be the first car on pit road.
So we will see what that undercut can do straight away here for Ethan Stanley.
And I really like this particular call for Ethan Stanley. Look, he wasn't going to win the championship driving on the same strategy as Blake Reynolds and Daniel Falkingham. Get off cycle, get off sequence, see what happens. What happens? What's the worst case that happens? You lose the championship? You might have already lost it last week at Wilkesboro. Go out here and try to do something different and give yourself a shot. Worth noting, Gavin Hibbs still on the racetrack, so Stanley definitely short pitting his available fuel load. But if we do the math, I mean, we're expecting guys to have 65 laps.
This might be enough to get him to the stage. Oh, trouble on the backstretch. And that is Caleb Pecumer. He is now...
Oh, yellow. There it is. Trouble.
I wasn't sure if that was going to bring out the yellow or not once he was off the racing surface, but it started with him up against the outside wall.
That stinks regarding Ethan Stanley. I mean, Ethan Stanley's coming off pit road watching this occur. Look, he drove past the wreck.
Oh, yes, he did. Literally happened in his lap on pit exit.
Brutal.
And
for
now
Ethan
he's going
Stanley.
to take a wave around.
Yeah.
Start at the rear of the field. Well, he might get the free pass, maybe. I don't know how that's going to work or not since he was on pit road. I don't know.
Was he involved? Well, yeah, was he involved in the wreck? Did he make contact with one of those guys that came down the track in front of him?
Not sure.
Because if so, Live Racing won't give you the lucky dog.
Right.
I mean, just an absolute, I like the strategy call for Ethan Stanley, right? An absolute disaster for what that needed to be. He needed that thing to go green.
That's about worst case scenario.
Yeah. And then the wreck happened in his lap. He might not get the lucky dog. I mean, just everything wrong there with the strategy call. And I like it. I like doing something different, but now he's completely behind the 8 ball. And that makes things very difficult for Ethan Stanley to go out and win this championship.
Maybe a break?
Yeah, I think it's time to finish up our ad reads here. We'll come back for the remainder of stage number 2.
Blue Egg Marketing. Rev up your business with Blue Egg, your marketing pit crew. Turbocharge your lead generation with experienced drivers that can navigate the competitive track to connecting with your customers. With Blue Egg, you're always in the pole position, leading your brand towards victory lane. So don't spin your wheels, accelerate success with Blue Egg, fueling small businesses to win big.
The Lucas Oil School of Racing. Simply stated, we are the professional ranks where the quality of the equipment often dictates the outcomes, and all of our cars are designed to perform and race as close as humanly possible. None of our competitors will have an advantage from engineering tactics. Rather, you will compete on a completely level field with a score of immensely talented up-and-coming drivers, all pushing each other to reach their new heights in their respective pursuit in becoming a professional race car driver. Every year, our top-performing graduates move on to the professional racing ladders of IndyCar, F1, and IMSA. Whether drivers compete in 1 or 2 seasons of our series, when they are ready to move on, they are ready to move. The training you receive in our school is an unmatched, unforgettable, first-class education combining the very best racing instruction and education.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to the 3-Wide TV 400. We're going to be ad-free the rest of the way. Blake Reynolds won the race off pit road. He is the race leader. Give him a bonus point for leading a lap. He leads that lap right there. Gets in front of Daniel Falkingham. Falkingham slices down to the inside in front of Matthew Weeks. Try to retain that track position. Jonathan Cutlip working the outside lane in that 5-car.
Wall. I think it was Johnny Thomas.
He's tumbling down the running order, and Trey Holmes. Oh, Michael Hossack.
Still no caution.
This is where.
Still no caution.
Yeah, not a super speedway. Race control Sam Boutwell does not have the power to throw the yellow flag for a clearly caution-causing incident. We remain under the green flag despite the entire field getting checked up mightily. And this happened because of, I don't know what happened to Johnny Thomas there. Up way ahead. It looks like, oh yeah, he got some help from Gavin Higgins.
Who may have been getting help from Chad Frankenfield. Hard to tell there.
And there's Hossack slamming the wall. Michael Hossack's season ends. It's disappointingly. He was 36th in points entering the race today. Just one top 10 finish. Man, they were still bouncing off each other coming off turn 2 there.
Yeah, not a lot of give and take on that restart from a lot of guys, for sure.
Nope. I just want to give a shout as Gilberto Javier Gomera has retired from the race. His season ends. No top 10 finishes on the year for the driver of the number 3. A best finish. Ooh, I have to sort it. Best finish, I believe, a 15th. For Gilly. Yeah. Occurred at Kansas a couple of weeks ago. 3 wide, David Tooker, Daniel Gore bouncing off each other. Believe that's Gavin Hibbs working his way past on the outside. 3 wide, back into the top 10 here. Gore trying to hold those two guys back from that middle lane. They're going to, I believe, both get around him here. Just put Danny G in a tough spot. Good recovery from Gavin Hibbs. Worth noting, little update on Ethan Stanley. He is 21st.
That's a long ways back.
Again, race control does rule that Gavin Higgins gets a severe damage tally. Stanley is 4.5 seconds off the race lead, by the way. Ryan Gable, a moment down the back straightaway. He'll tuck back in line right in front of David Tooker. Stanley trying to get back into the top 20. You might see his name on the pylon here shortly. He is battling with Jeff Green, Seth Rawls way back in the field. He's not even on the screen yet. There's the battle for 20th with Ethan Stanley. He's way off the pace because, again, that big wreck early checked this group up. Now Stanley's having to make a recovery drive and make up ground lost by an incident not of his own making. It's tough. Battle between Ryan Gable and David Tooker. This is a battle for the 9th spot. Daniel Gore looking to take advantage. Move into the stage points himself as well. Ethan Burrell just in front. He just got bypassed by Gavin Hibbs. Hibbs really starting to move back forward. With those fresh tires, it's really helping him out. Johnny Thomas off pit road. After fixing the right front damage on this 83 car.
Well, you say fixing. It still looks pretty...
Not fixed, yeah.
It looks like he must not be happy with the repairs that have been made. I wonder if he only got the required and went to feel it out and immediately felt it sucks.
Yeah. Well, he's on track now.
Okay. Interesting.
Johnny Thomas is 20th in points, has 4 top 10 finishes this year, finished on the podium and second in the World 600. But, you know, this will be a disappointing end to what has been a solid season from a guy that stepped back and said, I just want to have some fun. And he was in the chase consideration until very late in the running this year, and ultimately missed out on the chase and missed some races down the stretch here, but he was quite competitive for a lot of the season.
It makes me nervous, David, when a car is this much off the pace.
Yeah.
Track after being involved in an incident. Sometimes they're doing it to make up points, especially last race of the season, but there's not a lot for Johnny to gain. I almost wonder if he doesn't have some unfinished business he wants to attend to. And I sure hope that's not the case, because that would lead to a big old paddling for Johnny.
Yeah.
It makes me nervous seeing the rate at which he is on track currently.
No, yeah, I think this car's just it's the damage has made it undrivable. Yeah, he's bringing it down pit road here. I generally think Johnny's got a cooler head than that.
I normally would think that, but I know he was also upset about that incident.
Yeah, right front tire not pointing the right way for the Johnny Thomas car. Daniel Gore to the outside of David Hooker. That's a battle for the 10th position. 69 car working that outside lane. Everybody else kind of in a train formation on the bottom. It's Blake Reynolds leading this race. He took over command of this race on pit lane during the last yellow flag. He has been able to roll out to a 6/10 of a second lead over Daniel Falkingham. Jonathan Cutlip riding in third. It's Matthew Weeks fourth. Josh Chin in fifth. Scott Crump sixth. Gavin Hibbs seventh. Ethan Burrell eighth. Ryan Gable ninth. And then this battle for the 10th spot between Daniel Gore and David Hooker.
And these two guys just have not been able to get away from each other on this restart. They've been able to pass some guys in the process and move into that top 10, where, well, Hooker is 10th, Gore is 11th, but they've been pretty much right around each other ever since we dropped the green flag after that last caution.
I think back to Road Atlanta. The two of them had a spirited battle for a top 5 spot. Daniel Gore won that, I believe, and I actually think that they swapped spots and swapped finishing positions at Watkins Glen. Had a similar battle there where Hooker was able to hold off Daniel Gore despite Gore's best attempts to recreate the undercut short pit from... Oh, Gore's getting spun by Josh Adams. Hang on to it, Danny G. Oh, he's still out of control here. Oh, don't hook back.
Oh,
right, 69's around.
Is everybody going to miss him?
Looking okay so far. Oh, my goodness. And we'll get a ruling on that one. That car might be beached, though. Throw it in reverse, Danny.
Throw it in reverse.
Let it come down let it roll. Throw it in reverse. Let it come down the track. Oh. Yeah.
Too much damage were done is the report from Daniel Gore. So he must have... Did he get hit? He must have gotten hit. I thought everybody had missed him, but we'll have to take a look at the replay here.
Yeah, he does. I think Jaden Racines might have gotten a piece of him driving by. Might have tore the front nose off of it. We gotta even further back than this.
Let's.
My initial viewing was the 22 dove in there and wrecked him, but that's kind of what it looks like.
And then does he get tagged?
Right there.
That's what did it. What a shame. Which, that's probably didn't help in the beaching situation if it disconnected that left front.
A lot of cars staying on the racetrack here as pit road opens. Daniel Gore, likely his season will end. Josh Adams saddled with the tally. That's not the first time 22 car has run into the 69 car this season. And you'll note some new faces into the top 10. Chad Frankenfield, one of those. Corey Abbott, Ty McIntosh, Ray Bracey have all stayed on the racetrack, taking advantage of this caution.
Can take just a quick moment here, Huck. Pull up our lap leaders for the evening. Because Blake Reynolds is doing a very important thing here. Obviously, still has some ground to make up on this front, but if Daniel Falkingham had continued to lead, we were going to be closing in on the point where it became mathematically impossible for anybody to take away the extra bonus point for most lap sled. And that's when it was going to start getting a little more precarious for Blake Reynolds in this championship out. And obviously, if he wins the race, that math is really easy. You already had more points than everybody else, and then you scored the most points. Nobody can catch you. Even I can figure that one out, and I don't do math. But certainly, Blake Reynolds leading some laps is going to be helpful as well on that front.
There is a dash 2 stage points coming up here that Blake Reynolds and Daniel Falkingham were looking forward to and setting up for as we approach this restart here. I believe lap 165 is when it's going to occur.
It's correct.
So there's about 40 laps between now and then, but I think these guys can make it there pretty easily on the fuel they've got. And it'll be Blake Reynolds, Daniel Falkingham, Jonathan Cutlett, Matthew Weeks, then Gavin Hibbs, and then obviously Frankenfield, McIntosh, Abbott, and Bracey. Josh Chin, the first car on tires. Look behind Chin. It's Ethan Stanley. I think Stanley took 2 right side tires. Think that'll be the call to try and give him some grip to go out and get these stage points. But now Ethan Stanley has reversed the tire disadvantage he was on previously that almost cost him a chance at this championship. Green flag is back out. Blake Reynolds on the loud pedal. Excellent restart so far. He's out in front, able and clear of Daniel Falkingham in that second spot. Jonathan Cutlett will fire to the inside of Falkingham and try to get after Blake Reynolds as they fan out 2-3 wide behind. Straightening up front. It's Matthew Weeks, the first to duck out of line. He charges to the inside of Jonathan Cutlett for the third spot. Looking for those stage points, and they're side by side all the way back behind Chad Frankenfield and Corey Abbott. Three wide, Josh Chin up to the outside lane around Abbott and Ty McIntosh. Ethan Stanley's going to jump up there and follow him through. Abbott slams the door on Ethan Stanley. They'll all try to swing to the outside of McIntosh. McIntosh, Ray Bracey, the car's kind of falling back. They were kind of the first ones on this older tire strategy. Abbott and Frankenfield are also. And it's putting them in a rough spot here, but I think it's one of those things where they'll be able to make up that ground later. I think this is a temporary call for now by those South Shore Fords to save a set of tires. You know, they'll lose this track position, but that's where they were running anyway, was middle of the pack. Try not to get wrecked. That would be the key right now for those guys as they continue to fall back. Ethan Stanley works to the outside of Chad Frankenfield, and getting up into the 7th spot is that 91 car. The closer he gets to the front, the better. But again, Blake Reynolds is leading the race. Reynolds is not leading by nearly as much. 0.3 of a second. The gap back to Daniel Falkingham. That clean air doing wonders for that 66 car. He's able to return just the cleanest laps right now. Josh Chin on the freshest tires is up into 5th. We'll see if that advantage manifests in extra speed for Chin, but right now he's just kind of plateauing in that 5th spot.
I think what we've seen so far in this one is it's going to be really tough to usurp those top 2 in particular. Maybe the top 3 if Ethan Stanley can get back up there, and certainly it is trending in that direction, as you mentioned, back up to 7th currently. But I don't know if anybody else really has anything for those top dogs. Even a guy like Matthew Weeks that we know thrives in these long-distance races, we really haven't seen him in the mix yet. this might be really the closest we've seen him to being in the mix.
It's tough when a couple of guys that race on Tuesdays in the Coke Series come down here and start running against these guys. But again, one of the points I've made all season long is that the elite guys that have been here for a long time, like Matthew Weeks, Jonathan Cutlip, Gavin Hibbs, and some others and Ethan Stanley have really taken it to those pros that run on Tuesdays. As Ryan Gable and Ryan Borges having a war back here outside the top 10. Oh, Gable sideways on the entry to turn 1. Sideways still. Corey Abbott giving him some room. And Ryan Gable hangs on to it for now. Corey Abbott cutting him a massive break and allowing that 01 car to gather it up at the detriment of his own race.
Oh, yeah. Corey Abbott's got to lose a ton of ground, but he's got to gain a fair amount of respect from his fellow competitors on that one because, I mean, he had every opportunity to just finish off that spin for Ryan Gable and cut him a break.
I've run against Corey Abbott quite a bit in the ARCA series and other series, and I like running against Corey quite a bit, and that's one of the biggest reasons why we talk about, sometimes there's lack of respect out on the racetrack. That was an absolute ton of respect from Corey Abbott to let it hurt his race. It was absolutely a self-deprecating move from Corey Abbott, but he was able to allow Ryan Gable to save the car, not pile into a giant wreck. That's great stuff from Corey Abbott. Ryan Borges, Chad Frankenfield, side by side. That is a battle for 10th. And there was a moment here. Scott Crump is in the wall with big damage. That 90 car might be done.
There was a contact with the 15 on corner entry.
Well. We're too far back. We're too far back. Dave, we're too far back. We're too far back. I believe you. Zoom us forward at lightning speed. Well, it doesn't matter now.
No.
Yep, here we go. Right here. Right about there. And that kind of looked like netcode, but I have no idea.
Yeah.
Ethan Stanley going around Matthew Weeks for the 4th spot right here live as we get in and look one more time at this contact between the two of them.
Neither one gave each other much room.
Yeah. It could have been avoided. I wouldn't fault Sam for doing the meme and putting tally 15. I wouldn't fault Sam for doing the meme and putting tally 90. And I wouldn't fault Sam for saying race and deal, everybody move on with your lives.
Yeah.
Over Sam, I'd give the tally and let the appeals board work on it.
That would also work. Ethan Stanley is up to 4th. He has bypassed Josh Chin to be the first car on the fresher tires. 91 car really working that comeback route. The cautions have fallen his way after almost ruining his opportunity to win this championship. Gavin Hibbs, the inside of Matthew Weeks. And Zach, I think I finally have enough breath to call Daniel Gore from the Infield Care Center to the booth to give us his thoughts on the last caution. So it's finally calmed down enough to grab Daniel Gore, and Danny G looked like he got dumped for about the 5th time this year. Take me through the season. Obviously, it was successful at points and disappointing at others, but overall, I mean, you made the chase and had a good year.
Yeah, I guess you look at it that way. We made it. That's good enough, I guess, in the grand scheme of things of how competitive this series is, and we're forever grateful to be among those top guys that make it. But man, it's just cannot catch a break. Doesn't matter where we go, it's always someone or something, and sometimes those people are repeat offenders, and as it was tonight, so there's not much you can do with them. But in the end of things, I'm glad to have made it.
Yeah, it was a good season, but you did mention the repeat offender thing, and yeah, I think I called to it as well. It wasn't the first time you've made contact with that particular driver. So I guess my question to you, as to keep it, clean as team owner, but also a broadcaster looking for some juicy drama. Anything you can do differently racing around guys like that?
apparently just let them through because they're going to run through you no matter what.
10-4, buddy. Any final shout outs here before you let you off for the season?
I just want to thank you and everyone that, puts on the broadcast, and I want to thank you for letting me join you guys for the Cup for the second time in a row now. I've really enjoyed working with you, Bojo, Ty, Cameron, who's race crew chief me every race I've been running Cup. They're all awesome people. You're all awesome people. And hope to do it next season.
10-4, buddy. Well, we're happy to have you every single time, and hopefully next season has a little bit less getting wrecked by the same guy over and over, yeah?
Yes, please.
Daniel Gore, driver of the 69 car for South Shore Racing, retired from the event, and he'll end his 2026A with a sad note, but overall, as we said, successful. And what happened while we were talking to Daniel Gore was that Chad Frankenfield got dinged with that tally, and Zach, you've got, I think, still got driver comms. How has it been appealed yet?
I'm pretty sure it was. I know none of them have stopped talking since then.
Oh,
if
fantastic.
I were Sam Boutwell, I would have a really easy solution to that problem. But he's apparently more patient than I am.
Yeah, I would have muted a few people by now. Chad, the appeal board has said that if he sends in the appeal, they are not going to. A little bit of anarchy going on.
It's going great down on the racetrack. It's the season finale. Everybody's up to here with their patience has run out, as it were. Ryan Gable recovering from that big moment early in this run. He's fallen back to Jaden Racimus, battling it out for 17th. Just in front of Ty McIntosh, who's battling it out with Trey Holmes and a couple of Kyle Busch-looking throwback cars. Oh, man, Ryan Gable just about cut off the nose of the number one. They're chasing down Seth Rawls and Paul Mikulajczyk here as we watch on with the midfield. 30 laps still left in stage number 2, Zach.
Yep.
A lot of time. I think everybody can make it to there, but what about these guys that stayed out? Like Ty McIntosh, like Blake Reynolds. They're probably looking to pit not long after that stage ends. And can they make it to the end of the race from there?
No, certainly not. Because that would be like 98 laps. That would be some Smokey Unix stuff right there.
No, you're right. I mistimed the number. I thought the last stage was also going to be in like the 80s. It's
No.
not. It's 100 laps. 100 laps. So we have a longer final stage.
Yeah, you're going to need to get somewhere around lap 200. Or probably a little after that to make it.
On one more stop. So I think it's safe to say everybody's got to make 2 more stops. Probably no matter what. And then I'm wondering if these guys who stayed out can get there on 2 stops from where they were. That would be kind of my thought. Obviously, the one factor that is lurking and we all know is coming is that next caution flag. There's a battle for second going on the racetrack right now. Daniel Falkingham has fallen into the clutches of Jonathan Cutlip, and Cutlip working to the inside of our championship contender. In fact, that's 2 championship contenders side by side up here battling for second. Cutlip trying to get past Daniel Falkingham. They're losing time to Blake Reynolds making battle here. Ethan Stanley is also going to gain on the 2 of them. Are you there, Dave? There's a battle going on for second that we should probably be watching. Oh, okay. There we go. Yeah, this is the battle.
Oh!
Here we go. 3 wide for second. We got here just in time. Ethan Stanley working to the outside lane, trying to get around Daniel Falkingham. He will do it. Jonathan Cutlip clears the 2 of them, but here comes Ethan Stanley up the outside with the fresher tires. He and Cutlip both clear past Falkingham, and here comes Ethan Stanley on the recovery drive. Cutlip's going to try to get up in front of Stanley. That's not going to work. Here comes the 91 car. Stanley working clear of Cutlip. It's probably going to need one more corner, one more big run down the back straightaway using that outside line. Cutlip's clear for now. He's not going to be able to get in front of Stanley. Now Stanley clears Jonathan Cutlip.
Chad came down pit lane.
First driver to hit pit road was Chad Frankenfield. Scott Crump's 2026A season has concluded. He is disconnected from the server and retired from the race. This battle for second rages on. Jonathan Cutlip trying to pressure side draft Ethan Stanley as much as he can. Stanley has to wash up and get tight. And Cutlip clears to the outside for second. Very impressive from Jonathan Cutlip there. The winner of the last two races in this series, up to second here, challenging the championship contenders. And he himself is a championship contender, though he needs what is happening now to not be happening. He needs the three of them to finish much further back than they're running at the moment.
Yes, this would be... He has enough of a cushion on Falkingham that even with the bonus points he has accrued so far, that he'd be able to stay ahead of him for second as long as Falkingham doesn't win, I believe. But yeah, definitely needs Blake Reynolds to come back to have a shot at that title.
Blake Reynolds, a second lead over Jonathan Cutlip, Ethan Stanley, Daniel Falkingham there as they run that 66 car. Just as we kind of discussed at the beginning of the race, it always seems to wait for like the second 100 laps of the event. And in some of our races that are 50% distance, that's like right at the end of the race is when this car really starts to come to life. In this race, it kind of happened right at the end, at the start of stage 2, and he hasn't let go of the lead since he grabbed it. Jonathan Cutlip started to make up some ground, though. He's making gains on Blake Reynolds. 3 consecutive laps. He's a little bit quicker. Chad Frankenfield obviously hit pit lane, but I think, Zach, that this whole entire group is dead set on getting to the stage. I
would say you are probably spot on with that. They're going to want to get to 165. They may not be able to go much further than that, but that seems to be the target at this point.
Now, is there any bonus if you are, say, Josh Chin? You don't need stage points. Might you try to jump down pit road and maybe forfeit those stage points and get a little undercut on the field? Obviously, I say that knowing what happened to Ethan Stanley earlier.
Right. I mean, I have no problem with trying to do something different. I think that's a heck of an idea. But like you say, it's only a heck of an idea if you don't get an untimely caution like Ethan Stanley did.
Yep. And Ethan Stanley's done a fantastic job recovering from that issue. He's up here in battling for third with Daniel Falkingham. I think he used up a little of the good in the tires to get up there and fight against Jonathan Cutlip and Daniel Falkingham, and now they're starting to give back up on him a little bit. Still battling it out with Falkingham. Cutlip has driven away from this duo and is starting to make some roads when it comes to catching Blake Reynolds. Falkingham not clear. Oh, man, right. Almost a wreck between second and third in the championship.
And that would have pretty much sealed the deal, I think.
Yep.
If they had gotten together and there had been significant damage.
Falkingham clears back past Ethan Stanley. Josh Chin now starting to pressure the 91. But yeah, that would have probably wrapped it up for Blake Reynolds, and it would have been very much a drama-free final stint for that 66 car. Though it's pretty drama-free if you're just out in front in the final race and you already had the points lead. I mean, he's doing everything right now. Well,
you talk about the undercut, but Josh Chin It's drawn right to these two guys in front. Now, obviously, that's still not the leader. You still gotta have to do something to make up that 2.5 seconds, but it does seem like he's got some long run pace in this 93 car.
Yeah, but you also know he's not going to bypass Ethan Stanley unless he absolutely has to. That's a team car there. He knows the situation. Stanley needs to get as many points as possible. Oh, Gavin Hibbs sideways off turn 4. Another big save by the driver of the 95. Here comes Josh Chin to the inside of Stanley. I think Stanley's car is really starting to suffer from the prior use on those tires. It's just starting to go away a lot, giving up a lot of lap time. The guy who's making a lot of lap time right now is running second. That's Jonathan Cutlip. He is really making up ground visibly on Blake Reynolds, and he is pulled away from Daniel Falkingham and Ethan Stanley. Even that little bit that they fought, that allowed Cutlip to really open up the door. But as he's gotten into the dirty air of that 66 car, the gap has started to grow again.
There you see the delta on the screen.
See, he got it down to 0.4 of a second, and now it's opened back up another 1/10.5. But I'm telling you, that's because the 5 got in the wake of the 66.
That doesn't sound like something that happens with this car.
Which I hate that. If you didn't notice, I do not like the way iRacing has modeled the aero, and I don't like the way the real life cars have gone so aero dependent when it comes to the wake buffering off of the rear of the cars. Just very frustrating because it's very difficult for Jonathan Cutlip to make up the rest of this ground. Effectively, what he needs to happen is to there you go. What Cutlip needs to happen here is to catch up to Reynolds. He probably needs either a bobble from the 66 or to have a better pit stop in some way, right? When they come down pit lane. Those are really the two ways you're going to be able to make a pass.
Yeah.
So for Jonathan Cutlip, he's going to have to out-strategize Blake Reynolds, come down pit road before, wait till Reynolds pits and come down after, or, just have a better entry and a better exit. When you're this close to somebody, it doesn't take much to make a gap, but Blake Reynolds is so good at doing all of those little things that make up a lot of time when it comes to, green flag pit cycles, and he's usually one of the top drivers on that cycle. As Ethan Stanley has gotten back around Daniel Falkingham, and now Falkingham under fire from Josh Chin and Gavin Hibbs.
Yeah, one more for the road.
Almost dropped Higgins in. They're not even close on the racetrack this time. I have no excuse. And Daniel Falkingham right on the door. Right on the door of Josh Chin. A little bit of contact. Falkingham is struggling worse than Stanley is for sure. 3 wide for fourth rather. Chin is clear of Falkingham. Falkingham is into the door of Gavin Hibbs. He falls back again. Falkingham back to 6th. The championship chances are slipping away for Daniel Falkingham. Matthew Weeks now to the inside of the 39 car, trying to take advantage as he slides back on the older tires. Now Gavin Hibbs and Josh Chin are racing it out for the 4th spot. Again, there's 5 laps left in the stage. All of the points Daniel Falkingham is losing right now are incredibly valuable and giving him a chance, if Blake Reynolds does happen to have a problem late in the going of this race, to be able to still move up and take the win away. You had to, I think we talked to Falkingham in the interview last week after he finished second at Wilkesboro. He was saying how he has to go maximize his points this week. And I would argue this isn't maximizing the points, but even worse, this is making it very difficult for him to take advantage of any potential later mistakes by the 66.
Yeah, absolutely. The first stage was picture perfect for Daniel Falkingham, but now he's kind of in this dirty air, kind of like we talked about. It makes such a huge difference, and now we've gotten later in this run where he's had to fight more and more around other cars and is just not keeping up with some of the guys around him at the moment.
And that's kind of been the story for Daniel Falkingham's season, right? He has ran the first stage of these races so well, but from the very second race of the year at Chicagoland on, we have seen a lot of kind of hard work having to be done by Falkingham in order to get these races to their completion, and a lot of mistakes been made. He spun on pit road trying to win the race at Chicagoland, which the guy in front of him, Gavin Hibbs, did take home, and it's kind of snowballed from there. He's won some races. He's certainly won his fair share of events this season with 3. I think you and I both thought there would be a little more dominance from him or Blake Reynolds, and obviously neither of them have been able to win more than the 3 races. And this has been a very competitive season with a lot of different winners, a lot of guys having shots to win races late, and it's because of a lot of those small little things, those details that Falkingham hasn't quite nailed down, that Blake Reynolds has missed on at times this season, and it's resulted in a competitive year.
I will make a note of something we don't need to necessarily bring up a replay or anything. Oh, Matthew Weeks will bring his car to pit road before the stage. He's got to go ahead and try to flip it here.
Yeah, there you go. That's one I noted. Certainly a possibility that someone would try to do that didn't have anything to lose. Matthew Weeks is one of those. He's technically a championship contender, but mathematically it's going to be very difficult for him to make it happen. Might as well go for it and try to go out there and grab yourself a win in the race. Ryan Borges now the car behind Daniel Falkingham with just 2 to go in the stage.
One thing we will, as these green flag pit stops start to happen more and more, one thing we will have to keep an eye on, and we've already seen what I was going to mention before Matthew Weeks came down pit road, there was some contact, did not lead to a bit larger incident between Chad Frankenfield and Ryan Gable. Obviously, Frankenfield has already made that pit stop, has the fresher tires, a little bit more pace, had a little bit of trouble navigating the traffic.
Uh-oh.
And naturally, that led to, again, everybody expressing what they felt happened. But, yeah, so...
One to go in the stage. Certainly possible that the gamble doesn't work out for Matthew Weeks. We've seen it already. Daniel Falkingham back to 8th on the grid for this stage result. Blake Reynolds is going to win stage 2, barring a catastrophic turn 4. He rolls off of 4 just in front of Jonathan Cutlip. Cutlip is in the tire tracks of Blake Reynolds, but it will be that 66 looking for the 3rd championship in a row. He'll take home the most stage points he can here in stage 2. Ethan Stanley will grab 3rd place stage points with Josh Chin, Gavin Hibbs, Ryan Borges, David Tooker, then Daniel Falkingham, Ethan Burrell, and Gavin Higgins rounding out your top 10. On pit road come Seth Rawls, Ray Bracey. I think that's it, though. But I think some of that top 10 group are going to follow these guys down. In fact, I wonder when Daniel Falkingham is going to pit, because that car is really falling off a cliff right now.
And as far as those primary championship contenders, Blake Reynolds with 2nd into 1st stage, 1st into 2nd stage. He's the one that picks up the most stage points and obviously leading the way at the moment.
Yeah, that's a good recipe for cementing a championship you were already in the lead for, as Ty McIntosh, Corey Abbott bring their machines down pit road for service. And I'm looking for Daniel Falkingham to come down soon. He is not yet hitting pit lane. Blake Reynolds down pit road from the race lead. Gavin Hibbs there. Jeff Green loses it on pit entry. Green was running inside the top 13. He's going to have to reverse. It'll be a significant time loss, but no caution flag for the spin on pit entry for Jeff Green. It's really a half spin. Falkingham radioing in. He's coming this time by. Jonathan Cutlip picks up the lead of this race. He's coming down pit road this time. That'll turn the lead over to Ethan Stanley. Zach, talk real quick as we go on board with Daniel Falkingham about the difficulties of this Homestead pit road. It's certainly one of the tougher ones to get on, as we've already seen with Jeff Green getting loose.
Oh, certainly. I mean, we've talked about how difficult it can be to transition, even just from one groove to the next at times at Homestead. You're going from the banking to the flat of the apron, and then, I mean, there is not a lot of space between corner exit and the start of that pit road when you have to be down to that pit road speed limit, which fortunately is 50 at Homestead. It's not as dramatic as a 45 or a 35 that you see at some of the other tracks with the particularly challenging pit entries. A little bit more of a margin for error on that front, but it's definitely challenging. And then, especially you get to this point in the race, you try to exit the pits on that access road through turns 1 and 2. There's going to be a lot of dirt, a lot of rubber, a lot of debris buildup. You're exiting on cold tires. Green flag pit cycle. It takes no small amount of effort to maximize that pit exit while also not making a mistake.
Yeah, and Blake Reynolds with a fantastic pit cycle here. He was able to jump a big-time lead on Jonathan Cutlip as he clears past Ethan Stanley, who is the race leader, and unlap himself. You can see Cutlip's way back in the field a little bit. Brent Jones down pit lane with an awesome-looking paint job. Cutlip just now getting to and around Ryan Borges, who is second. So Cutlip's got, another 1.5 seconds to clear up to get to Ethan Stanley, and then Blake Reynolds is already driving away from him. So a gigantic gap has been formed by Reynolds, maximizing that pin entry. And as Ethan Stanley laps here, Zach, I'm starting to think Stanley might be, making out quite well with regards to the race win. The overcut is generally much stronger at Homestead, and Stanley's going to have like a full 10 laps on Blake Reynolds. Obviously, Reynolds will have a much larger lead before that hits, but Stanley was only 1.5 seconds behind him when Reynolds pitted. I am wondering whether this 91 car, when it finally hits pit lane, if it won't drive up and past Blake Reynolds over the course of the next run. We'll have to see how strong that overcut is, because the undercut's quite strong in this next-gen car as well. But it's late in those runs when the overcut starts to really come back to you, and Ethan Stanley might be able to maximize that quite nicely.
It'll also be interesting to see how he plays that, because it's got to be a little bit tighter window for the guys who are pitting right now. You're pretty much going to have to split it 50-ish both ways. You could maybe try to overcut it or undercut it, but you got to make 100 laps work with a 65-lap tank either way. Ethan Stanley's got to have a lot more wiggle room, and it's going to be interesting how he plays that to try and take advantage of that long-run pace, because certainly you want, if you got a knife, you want to use the knife, but you definitely don't want to put yourself in a position where, okay, great, you stay out 60, and then you're out there, you give up a ton of time on that second run, and you only have 20 laps to make it up at the end or something like that.
Sure. Yeah. Stanley can definitely probably have fresher tires down the stretch here than everybody else for both of the final runs. It's just going to be a matter of when he decides to come down pit lane. David Tooker has already given it up. Trey Holmes is pitting this time. That's another car that is currently inside the top 10. And I imagine Ethan Stanley's going to start thinking about pitting shortly. But, I think Stanley is probably a little apprehensive to pit here. He got bit by a caution flag once already in this race. And if the caution were to come out before he heads down pit lane, that would put him in a really good spot. Johnny Cutlip has unlapped himself as Trey Holmes comes down pit road. Stanley is opening up a gap on Josh Chin. He's up to 2 seconds over the driver of the 91, or the 93 rather. Ryan Borges back in third, but Stanley is making up time very quick at the end of this long green flag run here. Yeah, this race is really spread out. So, this is where, Stanley, I'm sure, is still thinking back to getting bit by that yellow flag, but it might be safe to make the run to pit road soon. Here comes, I believe, Josh Chin heading down. Yes, Josh Chin pitting from...
Oh, he didn't make it!
He missed it. He missed it. Missed pit road.
We were talking about... You talked about it, David.
Yep, it's tough. It's tough to get on this pit road. You have to really woe up in the center of the corner, and with the, we don't really talk about the next gen brake package. There were obviously brake failures in Nashville last week, but the brake package for this on iRacing, it's kind of all or nothing. to my understanding, right? You jam on the brakes and kind of nothing happens, and then you get all the way on them, and then all 4 tires lock up. What kind of like exactly what happened to Josh Chin there? He slowing down, and then all of a sudden it all locked up, and he couldn't get slowed down. Made it this time.
Made it this time. Second time is the charm for Josh Chin, but he's got to lose a lot of time from that aborted attempt to get onto pit road.
Stanley Burrell staying on the racetrack, trying to maximize their overcut here. And, it's as you mentioned, right? It just gives you flexibility. I mean, if he wants to run 2 40-lap stints here, he can do that for Ethan Stanley. And that might be valuable. It also might be valuable to just run as long as you can right here and see what happens. Stranger things have happened in this race already than the caution coming out while he was already trying to, make a pit strategy call. So I love that Ethan Stanley is staying off cycle from Blake Reynolds, Daniel Falkingham, and Jonathan Cutlip here. Justin Vandermarl on pit lane from the top 10. That'll enable Blake Reynolds back into the top 10 here. There are just 15 cars on the lead lap, Zach, as Ryan Borges bails to pit lane from the second spot.
As does Ethan Burrell. He'll pit from the top 5.
That means Ethan Stanley's got to be close. This car's probably running out of laps it can turn on the fuel tank here. Doesn't look like he's come. Oh no! Yep, here comes Ethan Stanley down pit road. Real interesting pit entry there for Stanley. It cut to the apron well before the corner straightened up, but that allowed him to be on the apron pointed straight at pit lane. I feel like that was a pretty solid entry from Ethan Stanley, and we will have to see how far ahead Blake Reynolds is and what kind of lap times this 91 car is turning to catch up to him, as also on pit road is Ryan Gavel and Michael Goodman heading down pit road.
Gavin Higgins will pit from the lead this time. He has pulled off the apron.
There's Higgins, and Blake Reynolds is down the back straightaway right now as the race leader. Ethan Stanley is pulling off of pit lane. I mean, Reynolds is going to be half a lap ahead. Reynolds is off turn 4 at the start finish line right now. Ethan Stanley is all the way across the racetrack on the back straightaway in turn 3.
You have to make up a lot of ground with that. Those fresher tires.
But we've seen that work. We've seen Tyler Fody pull that off times before. We've seen other guys be able to pull that off. I would be remiss if I didn't shout out that Paul Mikulajczyk is leading this race at the moment. Jaden Racimus on pit road. Paul getting a lap led, and always good to shout Paul out. There's Jaden on pit lane. Down pit road as well as Nigel Stock. Last cars to pit will be Carlos Acosta and Mikulajczyk. And I want to shout those two out while they are running in the top 5 here. I believe Carlos's car is a... Oh, Justin Vandermarl almost got a piece of Carlos driving by. But I believe Carlos's car is one of the Kyle Busch throwback cars. I don't know if we got a chance to talk about it much last week.
That was the throwback to his street stock that he won in.
That's right. It's the street. That's right. It's Carlos's throwback.
Now, it does bear some resemblance to a CarQuest car from the years gone by, but I don't think, yes.
Yep. As Carlos pits from second here and gives that spot up, Blake Reynolds will be taking that over, and then Paul Mikulajczyk will be short to follow as the race leader in that 77 for the Channel 199 team. Trey Holmes is disconnected from the race, and boy, Zach, I don't know that there's been a driver that's a little more snake bitten than Trey Holmes. He had a top 5 finish this year. I believe that was in Atlanta, 3 top 10s, but ultimately this season will go down as a bit of a difficult one for the driver of the Pro Edge number 23.
I will make a small note. Paul Mikolajczyk going a little bit further than we kind of expected on fuel. Not enough to one-stop this. He did pull a rabbit out of his hat here, but he managed to, by my count, do 69 laps on that tank of fuel.
Nice.
Nice.
That puts him 10 laps short from being able to make it to the end here, unfortunately.
It does not. He needed more. He needed more in the Smoky Unique fuel cell if he was going to one-stop this. But something to keep in mind if we do get a timely caution that you can apparently do 69 laps on a tank of fuel.
Good to know. Certainly a possibility that we will have to entertain later in this race. Of note, Ethan Stanley is running 33 flat second lap times. Blake Reynolds is running 33 twos and threes. Zach, the undercut, it's not enough. Not enough to make ground up. He's 11 seconds back. You need to be making up a half second a lap, and he is not doing that at the moment. He's making up time, but he's not making up enough time.
But at the same time, what was he going to do, right? He had to, in order to get this, as oddly as it has turned out when we talked about the body of work and everything, it has very much turned into, if you're going to take this championship from Blake Reynolds, you're going to have to win the race, whether it be Daniel Falkingham or Ethan Stanley. So Stanley had to make a decision that was going to win him the race. And if it doesn't win him the race, it really doesn't matter if he finishes second or 22nd.
And I think it's a lot more likely that this strategy results in even a win, but it'll be a win over Blake Reynolds, where you watch him celebrate alongside you with the championship. Blake has driven such a flawless race. He's really got one more chance to potentially mess up and throw it away, other than something completely unforeseen happening. That'll be the upcoming final pit stop. So we'll wait on that, but he's got 2.5 seconds back to Jonathan Cutlip, who was right on his bumper in the run before, but in the pit cycle and getting through the traffic, Blake Reynolds executed much better. Jonathan Cutlip now 2.5 back. Gavin Hibbs is third, 5 seconds back. Matthew Weeks is 7 seconds back in fourth. Then Falkingham is 0.3 of a second behind Weeks. That could be a battle shortly. Then it's Tooker, and then it's Stanley, and they're right next to each other. And I believe Stanley is about to go around David Tooker. In fact, yeah, he's right on his bumper here. Here comes Ethan Stanley down to the inside. He'll get around David Tooker for the 6th spot, but this is 11 seconds behind Blake Reynolds, and just battling with David Tooker has cost Ethan Stanley lap time, where Blake Reynolds and he are now running identical laps to one another, and yeah, that won't close the gap any.
Well, we'll see if that changes over the course of the run, but right now, like you say, needs a little bit more.
Yeah, definitely going to need to find a little pace in this 91 car. Need to dive deep. Although Blake is now encountering Carlos Acosta, who's out on 4 fresh tires. He's going to unlap himself, dump some dirty air on the nose of the 66 car. This might be some time to make up a little bit of time on Blake Reynolds. As Blake is dealing with Carlos. Carlos doing nothing wrong. Unlapping himself, working his way back onto the lead lap in what has been a successful race for Carlos Acosta for the final race here in 2026. He's 25th, having a perfectly fine race for himself, but right now he's kind of in Blake Reynolds' way a little bit, and Jonathan Cutlip made up some time the last lap. Ethan Stanley's going to make up about 0.4 of a second. It's good for the competition that Reynolds is kind of trapped in behind Carlos here.
Well, judging by, we've talked about a lot, the tensions, the frustration, some of the voice chatter. Blake Reynolds seems the complete opposite of frustrated right now. He might be, I know obviously we're worried about the dirty air and this and that, but he seems rather content to ride right where he is. Carlos offered his gratitude for being given that lap back, and Blake seemed quite all right with the situation. And, I think that's, we could, in the short term, we'll see how this works out for him. In the long term, I think that's part of the reason Blake Reynolds has been a championship contender and a championship driver since he joined the Belly Up Sports Cup Series. He's very good at staying grounded, seeing the big picture, even when frustrating things happen or he makes a mistake or whatever the case may be. He doesn't, let a bad moment lead into a worse decision.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a championship mindset. And I don't want to crown him, but he's obviously a two-time champion, the two-time defending champion.
Regardless of what happens tonight, he is a two-time champion already in this series.
Right. And we've seen that mindset work for him a number of times, right? He's very relaxed. He's very focused, easily, he's able to make a lot of speed without the best circumstances, and things have not gone his way exactly all season long. And it almost feels like he races every season like he runs one of these races. He doesn't always start out the strongest, but then you look up, deep in a run, deep in a season, here he is with the points lead again, with a chance to win the championship, right? Like, it's very similar to how he runs races. It is how he's been able to perform this season in this new chase format, and he's just always there, finishing in the top 5, top 10, winning races, leading laps, picking up those bonus points where he can. And this might put another driver, it might frustrate them, right? You have to ride in behind Carlos Acosta. You had fresher tires than you. Yeah, you're faster, but now you're going to have to deal with the dirty air. Eventually, Carlos might give it back to you. Looks like he's starting to fade just a little bit. That's going to open the door for Blake on the bottom of the racetrack, but Blake's going to have a bunch of lapped cars to deal with. Kurt Gibson is just up the road in 23rd spot. They just lapped past Brenton Jones as well. Blake Reynolds is not going to be out of the woods when it comes to the dirty air, comes to, just like that, not being able to ride up to the wall. It's going to cost him time. He's going to have to be very patient with these lapped cars. But a champion who's focused on that championship isn't gonna pay any attention to that.
Blake Reynolds does clear Carlos Acosta that time. You look now, this is Ethan Burrell and Josh Adams battling for, well, Chad Frankenfield is in that battle as well, so this is 9th, 10th, and 11th on the screen.
Chad is one of the first cars to pit. Burrell, one of the last cars to pit. Blake Reynolds did lap past Kurt Gibson with no problem. Here comes Burrell. The fresher tires too strong for Chad Frankenfield. He will fall back to 10th. And there's Josh Adams. There's Josh Chin. Josh Chin running 12th. A good recovery after missing pit lane, though he would have been much higher up had he been able to hit pit road like he wanted to the first time.
Certainly would be ahead of this battle. He's now going to have to navigate.
And yeah, we mentioned Reynolds being in the dirty air and stuff. He is pulled away from Jonathan Cutlip a little bit.
Oh.
He's pulled away.
A piece of the wall there.
He's kept Ethan Stanley at 10 seconds back. Ethan's made about 2 seconds with the fresher tires. I mean, the long run pace of the 66 car has been championship caliber. Looks like Adams is starting to struggle a little bit. He pulls to the inside. Josh Chin works to his outside in that 93. He'll move around Josh Adams. He's going to also look to get Chad Frankenfield down the front straightaways. Josh Chin. And he will get there. Move Josh Chin back up into the top 10. Zach, this field has really spread out quite a bit. We're watching just about the best battles on the racetrack right here. But I'm looking through the Ray Bracey, Justin Vandermarl, Ty McIntosh, but Vandermarl just kind of went around the two of them.
And Vandermarl, another guy that, he has probably 15 lap fresher tires than Bracey and McIntosh. He's got to be somebody that will probably pick up some more spots before this next round of pit stops begins, but pretty far back at the moment.
The undercut, the overcut working wonders for certain guys. Obviously, McIntosh and Bracey stayed out on that original caution flag right before the stage. Rolls was also, I believe, one of the cars to stay out. Gavin and Corey Abbott, who's a couple cars up the road, about 10 seconds up the road from this group. He's another one that pitted with right around the Chad Frankenfield pit lap. As here comes Justin Vandermarl outside of Seth Rawls for 16th spot. I don't want to give it to him yet, but he's in the preferred passing line. Rawls will jump up the racetrack, brace into the wall just a little bit. Don't think that was much more than a kiss. And Vandermarl clears through to the race lead. Or not to the race lead, rather, to the lead of 16th. No. We gave him about...
Great news for Justin Vandermarl. 15 cars died.
Oh, it's late. We're 200 laps into this 267 lap event. Blake Reynolds still leads this race. Jonathan Cutlip has not been able to make up much of any ground on him. Neither has Ethan Stanley. Stanley hasn't even been able to crack 10 seconds. Corey Abbott has driven around Josh Adams. That was for 12th. Ty McIntosh, Ryan Gable. That battle is complete. Ryan Gable takes that spot over. Here comes Corey Abbott working to the outside of Chad Frankenfield.
Chad Frankenfield has called out he is pitting.
That's about right. This is about the time that the first group is going to need to pit and line this second half of this race up.
Somebody pit in front of him, too. That might be Gibson.
Ethan Burrell, I think that is. Josh Adams following Chad Frankenfield down pit lane.
That is indeed Ethan.
The undercut was really strong. It's pretty clear you want to be one of the first ones down pit lane, get in the clean air, and get going. So, this is going to kick off the pit cycle. I think you're going to see the race leaders pretty shortly, and then the question will be the guys like Ethan Stanley and, those guys who stayed out really late. Paul Mikolajczyk, who's up to 12th, by the way. And, what can they do? With regards maybe to the fuel, but I doubt it. We said they were about 10 laps short. I think that's a little too much to worry about. I think you're really just going to need to maybe try to do like a 2 or 3 lap overcut, see if you can't make up some time that way. But honestly, Ethan Stanley's best bet might be to run that tank completely dry, Zach.
It's one or the other, right? It's either get on pit road now and try to eat into that 10 seconds the other with the undercut because the overcut didn't work, or run it dry and hope for a caution. I think either one, I love betting on caution. I would probably take the latter. Either one I think those are your two options. I don't know how likely either of them are, but it's what you've got. You're here now.
Well, watching this battle that we're watching on screen with Ryan Gable, Ray Bracey, Seth Rawls, I mean, there's a non-zero shot. These guys wad each other up. So, yeah, I think that the best bet...
Pitting.
Oof, yeah, I'm telling you. Oh, Rawls sideways on pit entry. He's going to woe it up and manage to get to pit lane. But, yeah, I think the way here for Ethan Stanley is to just stay on the racetrack and hope for that yellow. Maybe it'll give and take for Ethan Stanley. It's Ty McIntosh and Jeff Green nose to tail once again. I've seen them nose to tail a couple of times already tonight. Best friends, these two.
And, that's definitely something that probably would lead me, if I'm Ethan Stanley, into staying out. You're going to get some of these guys that can't tend to be aggressive on those fresher tires. There was nearly, like I say, an incident, a caution with Chad Frankenfield on those fresher tires, trying to navigate around Ryan Gable on this last run. It could happen. We'll see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have to be cognizant of the potential for a caution here, and I think that's why Blake Reynolds is still on the racetrack. I think that's why Jonathan Cutlip hasn't bailed the pit road, though. If I were Jonathan Cutlip, I think I'd be thinking about it real soon. Get the overcut.
You're close enough that you wouldn't need a huge undercut, right? You'd only need a couple of laps to leapfrog, and then you're the one putting dirty air on Blake Reynolds.
Yep.
It's a totally different conversation for those two. So I'm kind of with you. If I'm the 5, I want to make sure I'm on the pit road before the 66.
You got to find your lap and go to it, but you've also got to know Blake Reynolds hasn't hit pit lane yet, and you're guaranteed because he can pass pit road without coming down before you hit it. you can guarantee that you'll be in pit road before him because he's already past pit lane now. So you could go down and guarantee yourself one lap on him. But the thing is, Blake Reynolds was the first to pit lane last time, right? He was the first of the leaders to jump down pit road. He was very aggressive with it. It's worked out perfectly for him. He got in clean air. He drove away from everybody. So you have to pull that strategy back. You have to force him into some kind of mistake, some kind of reactionary measure, because following him down pit lane is just going to mean you follow him to the checkered flag. He's in the shot right here. He's the green car behind the purple and yellow of Jaden Racimus. A couple of cars back from this battle between Ty McIntosh and Jeff Green. And Reynolds, there he comes to the bottom to lap Jaden Racimus. I mean, he's not even losing lap time driving in behind the dirty air of these cars that he's lapping and racing against here. And these guys are still, he's still driving away from the cars behind. You can see the timing. Ethan Stanley, we've been measuring that against 10 seconds. It's 10.5. Like, he's running away from everybody behind him.
I do want to make a note. After Johnny Thomas did go down pit road and get a lot of that damage fixed and came back out and made some more laps, but finally he has given up the ghost on car 89. Currently scored 43 laps down, and obviously that number will just will add about 60 to it between now and then. Yeah.
And again, I went to mention it. Obviously, the World 600 podium included both Johnny Thomas and Caleb Pacumer. The two of them have had a less than stellar finale tonight, but a couple of very solid seasons for both. Caleb Pacumer obviously winning the World 600 and having a real shot to make the playoff. Unfortunately, was not able to get there and then missed a couple of chase races due to working constraints. But it just had a fabulous I guess it's now a third-year season for Caleb Pacumer. But yeah, just great work by the driver of the Lake Norman number 59, and he's been there all year. Just manifested in a second place qualifying effort tonight, but wasn't able to put together a great race. Got caught up in an incident. Here comes Blake Reynolds inside of Jeff Green to put the 2000 Busch Series champ one lap down. Ty McIntosh will be next on the board for Blake Reynolds. Down pit lane comes Gavin Hibbs. Daniel Falkingham also hitting pit road. They'll try to jump the undercut, but they're even further back than Jonathan Cutlip. Cutlip is the car, I think, that can maybe do something about the stranglehold Blake Reynolds has in this race right now. These two, they can get up closer to Blake, but I think once Blake pits, he'll just drive away from him. Ty McIntosh drops to the inside, allows Blake Reynolds by. I believe Jeff Green has headed down pit road.
He did.
Remarkably clean pit road, by the way. A lot of, you could easily get a speeding penalty here. These guys have been very, very solid. We've only seen a couple of sideways race cars on that pit entry and one missed pit road by Josh Chin. But I mean, everybody's been so good. Corey Abbott down pit road, Gavin Higgins down pit lane, Ray Bracey heading for pit road as well. And he's followed by Ty McIntosh and Jesse Racimus.
Worth noting, Jonathan Cutlip has been gaining during this last part of the run. Down to 1.9 seconds, that advantage.
Ethan Stanley down pit road. Yeah, a lot of that, I think, is that Blake Reynolds was mired in the traffic trying to lap a couple of those race cars. And Cutlip has certainly been a little bit stronger at the end of these runs. We've seen that be the case in the last run. The problem for Jonathan Cutlip is he can get there. He got within 0.3 of a second the last run. You can't pass him. Here comes Brent Jones down pit road. It's just so difficult to make this car get enough grip to get in a clean air to get around somebody. You have to take the lead on pit road. So that's why I wonder why Jonathan Cutlip doesn't try to undercut and go for the race win. If he loses out on it, so be it. But running second to Reynolds, you're just going to run second to Reynolds.
If you follow the leader, you will follow the leader.
Yeah, exactly.
I
Making up
wonder
ground.
for part of that, if it wasn't, because of those lap cars you mentioned, if he was hesitant to bring himself to pit road as those guys were pitting, because obviously you saw how congested it got when Jesse Racimus and Ty McIntosh and the 3 or 4 cars all pitted in a clump. That would have been really sketchy as a leader to pit with those guys as well. But now that's cleared out, that's not really a factor.
Yeah, Jonathan Cutlip's now 1.5 seconds back. Reynolds couldn't swing to the wall, has to lap by his Cutlip's teammate Harrison Talon on the inside. Maybe what Cutlip's doing is waiting for Blake Reynolds to pit. If he sees Blake pit, he might go, okay, I'm coming too, and try to use Reynolds. I don't know if you remember when Kyle Larson, he executed this poorly, but this might be what Jonathan Cutlip is at least thinking about. Make up the rest of that ground entering pit lane. That way, you come off pit road right behind him and you can duel on even tires. Maybe that's part of the strategy. I don't know. I'm trying to think of something as Matthew Weeks, David Tooker bring their Pro Edge Toyotas down pit lane for their final stop of 2026A. The leaders, Reynolds and Cutlip, remain on the racetrack. Oh, Reynolds has hit pit road. Cutlip takes the lead.
Well,
just about the opposite of what we're saying is
just
going on with Jonathan Cutlip.
Just about the opposite of how we thought this would play out.
Yep. Clean pit entry for Blake Reynolds, by the way. No speeding that could potentially cost him that 3rd consecutive championship. Caution is out.
Oh, no!
Jonathan Cutlip with the call of the year.
That's what we told him to do all along. Yeah.
Exactly. Blake Reynolds is going to be a lap down. Ethan Stanley's going to get a wave around. Oh, man. Well, Blake Reynolds is getting waved past the pace car. David Tooker bobbles on pit exit, slides up the racetrack. If that was Ty McIntosh, or if that was Austin and Abnett, Ty McIntosh would have been driving right into him. David Tooker able to avoid real carnage. Blake Reynolds was allowed to bypass the pace car. He will get to stay out. I think this is actually going to work out just fine for Blake Reynolds. In order to win 3 championships in a row, you need a little bit of luck. And Blake Reynolds got a little bit lucky.
A little bit lucky, to say the least. Yeah, because he's got to, once these other guys pit, he's got to cycle out front, isn't he?
Yep. I mean, wow. let me rephrase. He got a lot lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's basically perfect for Blake Reynolds. He couldn't have timed it any better. Obviously, it almost worked for Jonathan Cutlip. He needed that caution to hit about 1 lap later, and it would have been perfectly timed. As it stands, Blake Reynolds will take over the race lead. He won't have to pit. The tires are exactly the same as they are for Cutlip and all these guys that are coming down pit road that'll take advantage of this. Woo. And now it's going to get crazy. So it'll be Reynolds, Cutlip, Chin, Borges, Mikolajczyk, Vandermarl, Gavel, Jaden Racimus are the cars that were able to stay out and take advantage. The remaining cars that are 1 lap down on the pylon or showing that they're like minus 1.0 whatever, those are all cars that are going to get the wave around. So everybody in front of Blake Reynolds is going to get back on the lead lap. That includes championship contenders Ethan Stanley and Daniel Falkingham. They will, however, need quite a bit of luck to get back into this one. The short pit strategy does not work out for Ethan Stanley for the 2nd time this race.
It just dawned on some of the people in the field how this has worked out for Blake Reynolds.
Yep.
And they cannot believe it.
Yeah. It's also going to trap Chad Frankenfield and a few others a lap down.
He was the one that was particularly frustrated at the moment, yes, because it just dawned on him. Wait a second, that's the leader in front of me. I'm not getting away around.
Which especially stinks because they would have pitted.
Right.
Right. So
Yeah.
not what you want. This is going to be a jumbled mess. Sam might need to delay the start here if they don't get sorted out. Looks like they will. Blake Reynolds, Jonathan Cutlip side by side into the restart zone, and we are racing once again with about 40 laps to go. Jonathan Cutlip needs a great restart to get in front of that 66. He got it. He's right on the quarter panel of Blake Reynolds entering turn one. Too high, though. It's not enough. Blake Reynolds dives to the inside. It will clear past Jonathan Cutlip for the race lead. Josh Chin now working to the inside to try and grab second from Cutlip. Cutlip did not get a good turn 1 and 2, and he'll have to fight off Blake Reynolds' teammate Josh Chin. There's the caution.
It's Daniel Falkingham. Around in turn 4.
That'll be the yellow he needed.
Carlos Acosta has apologized for the contact, and it looks like, yep, it just takes off up the hill.
Oh, man. And that's the slightest contact as well. I've lost Dave. Did you? There we go. It's back.
No, I think that was a blink. Yeah.
Did Falkingham get any additional damage? Looks like he's locked it up pretty well.
I don't think anyone else got into him, from what I could see.
It's not over yet. But it's not what you want. If you are a number 39 fan, as Carlos Acosta does receive the tally, I imagine we will be seeing a number of cars hitting pit lane. Chad Frankenfield's going to get the lucky dog.
Probably offering a one-finger salute to Blake Reynolds on the way by.
Ain't nothing Blake could do. I thought Blake didn't heat the pace car off pit road, but they let him drive on by, and he was in front of Chad Frankenfield at that point. Nothing Blake could do about it. If anybody deserves Chad's wrath, it would be David Tooker.
I do wonder, and this is where I admittedly don't know enough about iRacing. This has got to be a very uneducated comment here, but I know in one of the recent updates we've seen where the pace car, instead of just immediately jetting out once the caution comes out, it kind of waits on the leader a little bit, more like you would see in real life, and I wonder if that might not have benefited Blake Reynolds a little bit in that situation.
I think you might be correct. Ethan Stanley exiting pit lane. He will have 4 fresh tires and a lap, and there'll be about a lap and a half fresher than those drivers in front of him, but Stanley on the lead lap with a shot. Couple of good runs to highlight here up inside the top 10 based on this strategy cycle. Obviously, the top 3 have been there pretty much all day. Josh Chin with a nice recovery after missing pit lane. How about Ryan Borges? Had a strong run. Correct me if I'm wrong. Borges is our Texas winner from this season, or was that Trey Eidson? I think it was Borges that won Texas. It was Borges, right?
I'm sorry, I'm listening to Sam at the moment. He's issuing a penalty to somebody, but I didn't catch who or for why. Gavin Higgins. Oh.
There we go. Good for Sam. I think Ryan Borges was our Texas winner. Paul Mikolajczyk's up in 5th, parlayed, staying out long into the top 5 running spot. And then Justin Vandermarle's up in 6th, having a very nice run. But yeah, so Gavin Higgins got a... I'm echoing a little, Dave, if you can help me with that. Oh, thank you. Gavin Higgins got a penalty there for past the pace car. He was not one of the wave rounds. And he got cleared anyway. Pace car down pit lane. Blake Reynolds into the restart zone. A nice, strong restart for our two-time champion. He clears past Jonathan Cutlip, moves into the race lead. Cutlip clears off Josh Chin, moves to the bottom. And Cutlip's going to have to find some pace if he wants to go out and try to win 3 in a row to close out this season. Ryan Cable and Gavin Hibbs door-to-door exiting turn 2.
Oh, Ray Bracey's around. I don't know if that's going to bring out a caution or not. He was spinning towards the inside wall.
Saved
He's
it.
not happy.
I think I saw why. We might have to go grab a replay on that one.
Oh,
And the
now they're
caution's
ready.
out.
Well, we'll watch this one first, and then we'll pick up.
He got hit.
The car around on the front stretch. Oh, that's,
That's Chad Frankenfield.
run that back one more time. Cause we kind of. Yeah, that's
Ray and Jeff doing perfectly fine. Chad Frankenfield up 2 lanes. Knock Ray into the wall and into Harrison Talon, minding his own business.
clear by who cares, I guess. And then Nigel Stuck is our caution on the front stretch. Not sure. We'll get a look at the replay to see how he ended up in that predicament. So this has got to be. Yep, here we go. Is it just gonna get... Oh!
Nope. That might be night over
That
for
could
the 22.
be the end of the night for Josh Adams if that is deemed a tally on the 22 car.
Get a second tally on Chad for severe damage and a second tally
Wait,
on Josh
official
Adams.
confirmation on that, but certainly
2 second
severe
tallies in a
damage
row.
tally. Severe
Wow, so
damage tally on the 15.
Yep. And so Chad
And
and
racing incident for the 98 and the 22.
oh, okay.
Oh, so
Possible.
not
Possible we
double
had another. Yeah. It's possible we had a the 98 maybe came down a little on the 22. That would be my assumption. The 22 came up a little into the 98. We'd have to take another look at it from maybe a different angle. That would be my thought process on it. But Ethan Stanley typed in chat one more appeal for the road. I'm sure for
Yes.
Chad Frankenfield there.
Chad is.
Let's see from
I'm not
Adam's
sure which one he's
perspective.
actually appealing, but he is skeptical that Ray has severe damage, which there's a larger conversation at play there that we don't have time to get into about the whole severe damage qualification.
Worth noting that from our
Now, see, that's what I don't agree with. How I will preach on this. He's saying I'm gonna appeal one of them. I'm gonna have to look at them. You shouldn't get the benefit of being able to look at them.
No.
You need to be saying which one you're appealing right now, and if you don't win that appeal, you don't get in a football game to say, "Well, I'm challenging the offside."
No.
Whatever.
Yeah, Sam's in the voice chat with us. Sam needs to not allow that. That he needs to choose one and appeal it now. You don't get the benefit of looking at them later. Remember, Ethan Stanley revoked an appeal earlier this season at Bristol Dirt and parked himself because he initially appealed and thought about it and was like, well, I think I might be at fault for that one. It might not be worth it. threw it in reverse and called it quits. I think that's allowed, but I don't believe waiting to appeal, even though you announce an appeal and stay on the racetrack, is remotely allowed based on the system we currently have in place. Now, I think a tally for driving over somebody in the middle of turn 2 should probably be warranted no matter what happens, even if the no caution comes out at all.
They can't get him to choose one of the two.
It's frustrating.
I don't think he still hasn't picked one.
I think Sam should give him till pit entrance. And then if he doesn't pick one by then, it should be, all right, buddy, black flag, head to pit road, night's over. I don't envy race control in this scenario, but he's the one making the calls, and stand behind him. Okay, well, all right. So much for that appeal limit we were talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
I don't know, man.
I don't know. Blake Reynolds in control of this race still. Jonathan Cutlip to his outside. Channel 199 teammate Josh Chin in third. Ryan Borges fourth. Ryan Gavels inside the top 5. Pace car down pit lane. 30 laps to go. Green flag back out. Reynolds with a strong start. Gavel did not get going on the bottom of the racetrack. It'll open the door in the outside lane for Paul Mikulajczyk and Ryan Borges. Cutlip strong in that middle lane, able to clear past Josh Chin for second. Gavel got going again. He's able to get into fifth. They're 4 wide down the back straightaway. Ethan Stanley made the big move to the inside of Justin Vandermarl. Outside of Jaden Racimus made it stick. He's underneath Mikulajczyk now. Stanley up into the 7th spot. Here comes Daniel Falkingham. He's trying to make that same move. Oh, man. Nervous spot for Daniel Falkingham trying to recover from that spin. Stanley trying to find a way around Gavin Hibbs and Ryan Gavel. Blake Reynolds is in the clean air. He is driving away at the moment. Stanley trying to find a way to get up to him. Multiple cars in the wall down the front straightaway. Everybody's going to be all right. Blake Reynolds just ran the fastest lap of the race.
32.466.
In case you were wondering, they qualified at a 32.5 flat was Daniel Falkingham's pole time.
The track has cooled off a little bit, I suppose, as the sun has gone down.
Yep. Ethan Stanley, Daniel Falkingham side by side. Stanley and up into the wall. Falkingham drives past Stanley for 6th. Matthew Weeks down to the bottom 3 wide. Ryan Gable working that outside lane. Oh, crashed in the back. I think it's
Chad Frankenfield.
Oh, no, not the appeals. Josh Adams wrecks. Ty McIntosh.
Well, we're going to have to break this down quite a bit. I'm getting it. Let's see. So let's start here.
Looking fine there. Jeff Green's giving him some room. Drove down a little bit.
Yeah, that one's going to be tough. It might be on Jeff. We'll see what race control says. And then what happens as we get past the wreck? We all lost control.
I think Ty went down to the bottom, but didn't woe up quite enough. See, so there's the wreck. Everybody heads down. Carlos on the binders more than Ty. Ty slams the binders to avoid Carlos and puts it in the fence.
Well, and it's funny for all the talk when this car was designed about how it was going to be such a great road course car. It really, at least on iRacing, does not like turning right while slowing down.
No.
That's we've seen that one a lot over the time.
Matthew Weeks leading the charge of drivers heading for pit lane. A lot of guys now with damage after that wreck. But Weeks is definitely going to have a chance to maybe charge through the field with some extra pace. And the tally will be Jeff Green, as we suspected. Obviously, Jeff has had a tumultuous season, but it's been significantly less tumultuous than seasons past when he was in the negative for the entirety of the year. 2 top 10 runs for Jeff Green this year. And intentional wreck suspension. So, the highs and lows for the 2 car. Blake Reynolds is the race leader. Jonathan Cutlip second, Chin third. The highest driver on even a little bit fresher tires will be Daniel Falkingham in the 6th spot. He was definitely making charges through the field. I would say, Zach, it's not over.
It's not over.
When it comes to the championship, Falkingham and Stanley get up there to Blake Reynolds and start challenging him for the lead. Anything could happen. So we'll have to see what happens. Obviously, about 20 laps to go still in this race, 23 to go. Been a bit of a caution fest after a very long green flag run in the middle of the race there, where Blake Reynolds was very fortunate to get bailed out by the caution flag coming just before he went a lap down to race leader Jonathan Cutlip, who stayed on the racetrack as that caution flew. Since then, we've had 2 consecutive yellows, about to have our 3rd restart. Reynolds has been able to hold the lead on Cutlip every single time, and Jonathan Cutlip's going to need something special here to finish this race off, this season off with 3 consecutive victories. Pace car heads down pit lane. Blake Reynolds back to the restart zone. And he fires off, gets a big push from Josh Chin. Chin now alongside. Oh, door slammed into by Jonathan Cutlip. Don't think Cutlip knew Chin was quite so far in front. Josh Chin's going to be cleared a second. Here comes Daniel Falkingham, way to the outside. He's going to get around Ryan Borges. Ethan Stanley's going to get inside of Ryan Borges. Here comes Gable to the inside. Ryan Gable flies around Borges as well. Borges struggling after getting taken 3 wide. He's going to fall all the way outside the top 10. Here comes Falkingham outside of Gavin Hibbs, trying to charge back to the front after spinning in turn 4 just a couple of laps ago. Back to 4th, looking for 3rd after Jonathan Cutlip.
This might not be over yet.
Yeah, effectively, Daniel Falkingham needs to get up there and then spin out Blake Reynolds and cost him about 30 positions. That's kind of what's going to need to happen in order to change the result of the finale of the points. But that's all right. Blake Reynolds has had just a fantastic season. He's driven a fantastic race, but it's not over yet. These guys working. Oh, crash. Jesse Racimus. Thralls. Caution's out. And that's it.
Well,
I have better view of the wrecks on a 1.5 mile track. Last week I was calling big wreck for a single car spin. This week I knew exactly who wrecked. I don't envy Sam for having to call that one. Does Ray's going to get a little piece of this on the way by. It looked like both of them just kind of came together, exiting turn 4, bounced off of one another, and spun out. Rawls comes up a little bit. Jesse had half a car length more to give. Maybe you call that on Rawls. Maybe you call that a racing deal. I'm not sure.
Developing situation. Gavin Higgins, I believe, was supposed to be our lucky dog here. Unfortunately, and I don't know, I'd have to go back and see why this would be the case, but Matthew Weeks expressed his frustration with Gavin Higgins for something and pulled up alongside him under caution and doored him. And, of course, that's contact. So iRacing says, no more lucky dog for you. Which, man, that makes you want to punch a guy. I'll just gotta be real honest. That would really. Gavin Higgins is handling it better than I would right now. I feel like we've got to really step in on some of this. We got to nip in the bud. You know, this is my Christmas list for 2026B. We got to nip that. Like that should be a parkable offense. If you just run into a guy and take away his lucky dog, that should be the end of your night. Period. That's like race
Was
manipulation.
it for that? Was it for that?
Probably.
Going 4 wide?
Because Higgins is a lap down, but he's racing for the lucky dog. Of course he is. He's racing. That's what we're here to do. We're here to race. There's no reason for that to be a complaint. Matthew,
I'm with you.
Matthew Weeks. I mean, I know Sam can't do this. It's not in the rule. To me, if you do something like that and take away a lucky dog from somebody, you should be done for the night. We gotta get rid of whatever the appeal nonsense was that was happening a couple of cautions ago. We gotta definitely actually enforce the appeal limit, because I'm pretty sure Chad Frankenfield has appealed 17 things this year. I'm sure he hasn't. I'm exaggerating, but it's been more than 2.
It feels like it, right?
Sure feels that way. It's been more than 2 tonight, for crying out loud.
Throw cautions when cars are sideways and stopped on the racetrack.
Number 1 on the list.
Yeah.
We got to throw cautions when there are wrecks on the racetrack, regardless of what track it is. I know all of this will fall on deaf ears, and I'm just ranting at the end of a long and frustrating season. But
it's funny because I think we put together a really good product. We have really great stuff. There's just these little things that are the same issue time and time again, and it's grating on us, the broadcasters. It's grating on race control. It's grating on admins. It's grating on everybody, and it grates on the drivers. It results in people yelling at each other, which results in chat bans and long conversations that Ray puts into quick shifts as 150 times speed. It's just
this whole caution is going to be at like 3x speed at the end of the next video.
Yeah,
I'm afraid.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm gonna have some like scene from a movie over my stupid face that he has with the fake mustache on it or what. It's gotta be bad news for me all around. But
I want to note before we go green, I don't see anything wrong with what Gavin Higgins did, and I don't see anything wrong with showing your displeasure, but you can't do it when that guy is going to get a lucky dog. You can't do it then. That's absolutely wrong. Green flag's back out. Blake Reynolds off to the races with a great restart. Jonathan Cutlip not able to gain as much ground as he needs to. It's Josh Chin making the moves up to the outside lane, but Chin leaves the door open. Daniel Falkingham shoves to the middle 3 wide. He slices underneath Josh Chin. Daniel Falkingham's back up to second. He'll bypass Cutlip. Cutlip falls back to third. Gavin Hibbs is up to fourth in the 95, but Daniel Falkingham now will be the first to get up and challenge Blake Reynolds in quite some time. 17 laps to go. Ethan Stanley hard into the outside wall. What can Daniel Falkingham do? He's got a little bit fresher tires than Blake Reynolds. He's picked his way through the field. He's now up into second with the track position. Falkingham needs a few green flag laps in order to give it a shot and try to bypass Blake Reynolds. Oh man, another wall contact for Ethan Stanley. That car is now, I think, damaged and starting to get really tight on him. Blake Reynolds just ran the fastest lap of the race.
He got into actually, Cutlip has the fastest lap. All of the top 3 were into 32.3s that time. So for all of 0.3 of a second, when the graphic was on the screen, Blake Reynolds had the fastest lap, and then Jonathan Cutlip beat him by 7 thousandths.
Yep. And Cutlip's right in the draft of these guys trying to make that ground up. It is a 3-horse race to the finish for the win of the 3-wide TV 400 with 14 laps to go. It is our championship leader, likely champion, even if he doesn't win this race in particular, with these 2 competitors behind. Blake Reynolds, who's driven an excellent race. He's locked up the most laps led in this race. He even got fortunate with regards to that late yellow. Daniel Falkingham, who spun out, he had the strategy go awry. Didn't get stage points in that second stage like he was expecting to, but he has rebounded nicely. He is up here fighting for the race win, and it's Jonathan Cutlip, who's won the last 2 Belly Up Sports Cup Series races. They're fighting it out for the win. Reynolds is just so strong through the center of the corner on into corner exit. It's going to be really hard for Daniel Falkingham to find the grip to get up there and get around him. He needs a bobble, and Blake Reynolds has just simply not bobbled all race long. They are slicing and dicing behind. Matthew Weeks on the fresh tires is up to 6th. He's about to bypass Josh Chin and get into the top 5. Weeks will be charging hard, but I just don't think he's going to be able to have enough time to get up there and challenge for the race lead. Oh, Ryan Borges, contact with Ryan Gable. Oh, Josh Chin's also sideways. They're trying to wreck back here.
Oh, Borges hangs on to it.
So does Chin, but both lose several positions. Corey Abbott. Corey backed off again. Corey, it's not the time. There's only a couple of laps left, buddy. We talked about it earlier. Ryan Borges looks to the inside on Ethan Burrell. Corey Abbott outside of Ethan Stanley, trying to get to the outside of Borges. Stanley's car washing up. That 91 is severely hindered right now with what the speed it had earlier. Corey Abbott will clear. He'll dive to the inside on Ryan Borges. Oh, Corey got really sideways. Really sideways. Backed out of it, and Corey Abbott will slide back. Racing really hard up front. It is Blake Reynolds by 0.4 of a second. It's effectively been the same since the restart. That 66 has just jumped in the clean air and driven away. The two behind got within 0.3, but I think that dirty air is just really hindering them from getting up there and challenging Blake Reynolds. Doesn't help that this Homestead track seems to have migrated entirely to the bottom. Seems like this thing is very much a bottom-heavy track of late.
And that tends to happen when it cools off and it turns when you run a night race here on iRacing, right? You know, it tends to be a little more varied. When the sun's out, the track heats up. But when it cools off, it seems like all the grip goes to the bottom.
It seems like what's happening right now. Blake Reynolds riding the bottom and driving away. Up here, you've got the bottom winning out in various battles. Guys trying to hold it. Guys that can't hold it are the ones falling back. Think about like Corey Abbott, Ethan Stanley. Those guys have struggled to keep that car rotating on the bottom of the racetrack. They're the ones that are starting to fall at the rear of the field. Stanley into the wall again, exiting turn 4. He is pressing real hard, but it seems like that 91 car, and he slid turn 1 on the restart last week in North Wilkesboro. That was kind of the defining moment of the season for Ethan Stanley. It's 7 laps to go before we take a look at the battle for the win and ultimately the championship. I do want to shout out Ryan Gable running 6th, pulling away here from this battle with David Tooker, Justin Vandermarl, and these guys. Great run for him. David Tooker in 7th, first non-chaser here. He's having another excellent run as well. Both of these guys have had misfortunes today. Tooker obviously got loose on pit exit, brought out that late race yellow that almost cost Blake Reynolds the championship, but he's rebounded nicely after that. Caution's out.
Oh no!
That will be interesting. I know Dave jumped to Chad Frankenfield. It's not Chad Frankenfield. He's been on pit road.
Okay.
Paul Mikolajczyk, which disappointing. He had such a good race going. I hope it wasn't Carlos, because that would be 2 on the 0-2. But it appears.
I think I've got bad news, David.
Man.
Feel it, Carlos. I dare you.
Appeal them both, Carlos. Throw the appeal on there. Oh,
Carlos, we all say appeal them both.
Oh. Because you're allowed to do that, apparently. This is going to be interesting.
The thing is, he's apologizing. I'm going to
Yeah.
Not going
I fear Carlos too good a guy to make that happen. Here we go. Blake Reynolds staying on the racetrack. Daniel Falkingham bailing on it. Why did Ryan Gable pit? Oh, man, I wanted to see Ryan Gable coming through on 4 fresh tires. First one down pit road will be Ethan Stanley. That doesn't really shock me. Man, a lot of guys stayed on the racetrack. I mean, 3 laps to go, yeah, but you might be able to make that ground up. What if there's a late race wreck too? I don't know. Carlos is going to get the second tally, and I do believe that'll be night over for the 0-2. Barring one of the mystery length or the mystery number of appeals you're allowed.
Can we
Man,
take a look at those lap leaders real quick?
Yeah, I think it's Blake Reynolds by a healthy margin.
I'm pretty sure it is, but I want to make sure as we get. Oh yeah, he's over. He is past the 50% number, so I think he's got it in the bag at this point. If we do get into the green-white wreckers portion of this race,
Which, boy, that looks like where we're heading.
we are dangerously approaching.
So the first car to pit was Ethan Stanley. He exited pit road in 13th. Yeah, I don't know, man. If I was Ryan Gable, maybe Vander Marl, but you have to lose, man. Go for it.
Worth noting is I'm trying to unofficially do the math. What we can't see to really, because I am legitimately trying to do the math off to the side on the virtual napkin or whatever. What we can't see are incident counts for the competitors in the race. Now, we know for sure Daniel Falkingham has at least a 2x loss of control for his spin earlier tonight that brought out caution. So we know he will not get a bonus point for a 0x, but maybe Blake Reynolds will. I think the way it's looking for me, that's definitely not.
Yeah, no, that's not right. Caleb Becumer
That's
has
definitely not right.
a lot of incident points.
Chad Frankenfield has many incident points, I'm sure. So let's just make that go away.
I think we can get it if I go to entries. Yeah, this will tell us. Daniel Falkingham is a 4x. Blake Reynolds has a 0x.
Okay.
Ethan Stanley technically has a 0x. I don't even know how. He's hit the wall a ton. Pace car is heading down pit lane. We are going to have a green-white checkered. Here we go. Blake Reynolds off to the races. A great restart for the 3-time champ. Potentially. It's not over yet. Ryan Gable way up to the outside lane, trying to make it work on this restart. He's alongside Gavin Hibbs. 3 wide for the 5th position. They're side by side for 2nd. That's going to allow Blake Reynolds to drive away. Falkingham can't clear Cutlip. Now he does. Daniel Falkingham's going to have 2 more corners to go after Blake Reynolds. Hibbs backs up. Gable clearing to the outside. Weeks to the outside of Cutlip for 3rd. White flag in the 2026A season. He's won 2 consecutive championships in the playoff format where he had to win the final race. And now as Blake Reynolds rockets down the back straightaway, he's going to win a championship in the chase format. He might even win the final race doing it. Falkingham dives in. He will not get there. Blake Reynolds is a 3-time Belly Up Sports Cup Series champion and the winner of the 3-wide TV 400. Photo finish for the 3rd spot. Matthew Weeks got it. Photo finish for the 5th spot. Gavin Hibbs nabbed Ryan Gable at the line. Ethan Stanley made it back up to 8th. Blake Reynolds receiving congratulations. He is your 3-time champion. But Zach, I mean, it was not without its challenges.
Not without its challenges. And maybe even a lucky break. Certainly, maybe with those cautions at the rash at the end of the race, Blake Reynolds would be able to recover from even losing a lap if he had on that caution, but certainly helped not having to find out.
And he will burn it down and celebrate this championship, this 3rd consecutive championship in this Belly Up Sports Cup Series. But yeah, this race had a lot of challenges, but I even think back, I mean, there's several very real chances that he could have been not a 3-time champion over the course of the last 3 seasons. it has certainly been a story each and every time. And there have been those moments, and that caution coming out at the perfect time to not trap him a lap down where he would have had to take the wave round and fight through the dirty air, was the absolute defining moment of this chase. Also, I think back to last week when Ethan Stanley kind of lost the race win with just one restart to go. And those were kind of the two moments where it just looked like it was pointing Blake Reynolds' direction this season in terms of favor and speed, and he was able to pull it off. You will burn it down with Paul Mikolajczyk. We'll take a quick look at the final running order here as we tabulate the points, but I am 100% sure Blake Reynolds is going to be your champion. He'll win over Daniel Falkingham, who finished his second, does a great job in his first season as a technical rookie here in the Belly Up Sports Cup Series, but he will come up at least one, possibly two spots short. Matthew Weeks will podium in this third, finishing third. Jonathan Cutlip fourth, Hibbs fifth, Gable with a nice run to sixth. David Tooker seventh, Ethan Stanley eighth. Justin Vandermarl will close out this season with a ninth place finish. Ryan Borges locks in a top 10 run as well. And then the rest of the running order will roll through. I do want to shout out Jaden Racimus for an 11th place finish to close out the season. Fantastic run for the younger Racimus. So we got Matthew Weeks in the waiting room. We'll talk to the third place finisher on the night. And since it's the longer one, we might only do like maybe one question each here, Zach. But Matthew Weeks into the booth on the podium, had to fight for it there. Seemed like you were on the back foot on strategy just a little bit, but were able to carve through the field with the fresher tires there late. Take us through that last little bit and what you needed to get up there and challenge those guys for the win.
I don't know if I had anything at the end of the race for him. I don't even think I had anything really all race. I was probably fourth, fifth place car, maybe. I know Gavin was better than me on the long run tonight. I was just off, I guess I should say. It just wasn't feeling it. The car wasn't driving right. It was a weird, like how the car drove. It was just weird, especially in the dirty air. So I don't know. It was just a weird night with the car. But started off bad qualifying. Thought I'd be decent there, and then as usual, when I qualify midfield, pick my way through, and we're pretty good. I mixed up the strategy just to try to do something different, since there really wasn't no chance to win the championship. I was just trying to win the race, and that didn't plan out. And then the caution come out, and then after that, it was just trying to take what you can, really, because it was just going to end. People just kept wrecking and not going to have a long run there. So played out well. Top 3 in the season. Definitely need to get better.
And I mean, looking forward to next season. Obviously, we'll have some time off. But what's it going to take to, like you say, get better and put up more of a fight in 2026B for this championship?
I just got to go back to what I was doing before. When I was really contending for wins every week, and I feel like a championship contender every season. Just be on the sim more, race more, get more seat time. That's really what it comes down to. And really, I just show up, join the league session, do the hour of practice, race. That's all I do. When I'm at home and there ain't no racing going on, I play a other game, or I watch some TV, or I go do something else. So really, the only sim racing I do is league racing. So to get back to where I was at, I just gotta kind of quit doing those other things and really just put my mind into sim racing through the summer. My daughter's a teenager now, got the pool open. She's gonna have her friends here all the time, so I ain't gonna have nothing to do. So be the perfect time.
And Matthew, who do you have to thank on this one, this final podium run here in 2026A?
Oh, all the guys at Pro Edge, man, we've been together for years and years. And I know we probably mixed up one thing when Tate switched to Lake Norman and Trey joined. But other than that, we know we've all been racing together for years. And hopefully I know most of us are staying together next season. So hopefully we keep on doing it, man. The league's fun. Shout out to my buddy Justin Vandermerl. JV Designs paints this beautiful scheme. All my schemes, really, and knocked it out of the park with this silver one for the 600 we've been running the rest this season. And he was running good tonight. I know Ethan and I had like a fifth place battle for points, so shout out to Ethan there tonight. That was fun. I know he was trying to work it out at the end, and I was just trying to get the best I could there. So, we're all good. I think Trey had a bad night, and all the fueled up. I think shout out to Blake too for another championship. I wish I was better this season to compete, with those guys like the previous seasons, but I wasn't there this season. So shout out to those guys as well, and all fueled up and Channel 199 guys, you guys in the booth, Chad, all the sponsors, everyone in the league. It's been running strong for 10 plus years now, and hopefully we keep it going. It's a fun league.
Well, thanks, Matthew. Congrats on P3 tonight, and we'll see you next season.
All right, man. Thank you. Y'all have a good one.
Zach, I'll let you ask the first question to Daniel Falkingham, and we'll bring him in now.
Daniel, this is Zach in the booth. You got a copy?
I gotcha.
Well, tale of two halves, I guess, tonight, Daniel. Obviously, really need a win to have a shot at the championship. Dominated the first half of the race, and then just kind of ended up second best there at the end. What happened there? What played out for you to kind of put you on the back foot there in the second half?
Yeah, had pretty much control the entire first half, and then we had a pit stop to where I don't know, I was just exiting the pits as normal, and then I just got a random burst of wheel spin, which I had not had the entire night up to that point. And I spun him so much, I just had no grip coming out of the pit box, and Blake beat us out of pit road. And from that was pretty much curtains, because I learned pretty quick just how crucial clean air is. And then during that then we had a caution after that. I decided to stay out, which really thinking back, I really probably could have pitted to try to go on the offense, because trying to do the same thing as Blake is just not going to work out 9 times out of 10. But yeah, after that, really after we kind of just fell back through the field a little bit, which I'm still trying to figure out how that happened, because the first couple runs we were fine. But I don't know if it's just how much rubber the track took. I don't know if the conditions changed, with wind or whatnot, but probably there's many factors that I probably just didn't take into account, just trying to take care of my stuff. And I just felt like a rock. I don't know. There's just so many random times with this car where you feel like you got the grip going through the corner, and then the nose just shoves really, really heavy coming off, and then that's your right front just overheats instantly, and I just could not recover. And then got trapped a lap down, throwing through the pit cycle, trying to be aggressive, got spun, and even after all that, we drove our way back up to second. So, yeah, of course not the night we wanted, but kind of sums up our chase. Just so many opportunities we kind of just wasted, unfortunately. But not too bad. First season here, kind of learned how to race around these guys. I still had a lot of fun, but obviously came up one spot short again. Just, I don't know how many races I feel like we lost this season, but that's just the way it goes. But glad we can make a good recovery there and at least end up on the podium for the final time. And, yeah, got to congratulate Blake on the championship. Well earned, and nice battle him throughout the whole season.
And Daniel, obviously you had a really strong, what is effectively a rookie season here in the Belly Up Sports Cup Series. What is it going to take next season to be able to go dethrone that guy who's won three consecutive championships? Or do you plan to go race against Blake Reynolds again next season?
Yeah, I plan to be back. I've had a lot of fun first season out here. But yeah, really the main thing is just, I don't know, just hopefully just fate doesn't spoil us, because I feel like there's so many races in the chase that we just did not go our way. Like New Hampshire, we had a random engine blow up, which it's still baffling me how that even happened. And then at Kansas, my game crashed twice, which put me so many laps down I couldn't even battle for anything. So if you take those 2 races and if you place it in the points that we should have gotten, we probably are fighting for the title. But yeah, really just got to have just a little bit better luck, I feel like. And there's definitely a few instances where I just need to kind of clean up my game, to where I had a little slip up, like a restart in North Wilkesboro where we were leading the race and I lost it on a restart from the lead. So it's just little things like that we got to clean up. But also, hopefully I just have a little more luck when it comes to the chase, when all the points reset and whatnot. But yeah, that's really all it is. And looking forward to kind of running it back again next season with Daytona. And we also got charter, so definitely don't have to worry about missing any races. I hopefully should be able to make all the races this time around, because I don't have college series to worry about anymore. So, but yeah, hopefully as long as we just keep doing what we're doing with just a little bit of luck come back our way, we hopefully can make another run at it.
And before we let you go, who do you have to thank on this run this season and tonight?
Yeah, I just got to thank Chad for all the leagues he puts on. I have a lot of fun over here for my first couple months. Shout out to Blake Sports for sponsoring this series. Shout out to you guys for broadcasting. Again, shout out to Blake on the win. Well deserved. Just shout out to all the boys I was racing with: John, Gavin, Paul, Chin, Stanley, all those boys I was racing with, and fun just hanging out with them during the races. Makes the races a lot more fun. And thanks to everyone who watched the race. Thanks to everyone who comes out and races each and every week, and thanks to everyone watching.
Well, congrats on P2, Daniel. We'll see where you shake out in the final standings, but second or third, nothing to complain about for sure. Great season. We'll look forward to seeing what you can do next season.
All right, thanks, David. Y'all have a good one.
That was runner-up finisher Daniel Falkingham, and now we will grab. Oh, I put him in the wrong place. There we go. That's the one. Blake Reynolds, the 3-time defending Belly Up Sports Cup Series champion, and Blake, it looked like, early in the race, you bided your time just like you have all season long. And by the end of it, you looked completely unstoppable. Take me through the night before the caution, and then I'll let Zach ask you about that late race yellow, because that seemed to be the one thing that could have set you back.
Yeah. But, hey, 3-time champion. When I joined this league, I never really would have thought that. The competition here is pretty up there, especially with, other top oval leagues. Around the time I joined, like FTF went down. I know some other leagues have kind of lost their competition. Elite really is one of the upper echelon competition leagues out there. So it's been fun being a champion in this league. As far as this race, man, I barely got home in time for qualifying. I ate some General Tso's chicken, some rice. I sat down, put down my Q lap, noticed instantly this is going to be a clean air race. And Falkingham, for that first, stage or whatever it was, he just had it. I couldn't do anything. I just sat in second and third there with John and Stanley. But then I beat him up pit road that one time, and that was it. I literally, it was impossible for me to lose the lead from that. And then, I won the second stage, and that, I was in my pit stall, and then I see David Tooker spin on the race. I'm like, oh no. And I don't know if you guys saw how close it was between me and John at the pit exit. I think he was 0.6 behind me when I crossed that line, and I got to unlap myself. That was close.
I called it that you were a lap down because you drove back past the pace car. I was like, oh no, Blake's trapped a lap down, and then you drove back past. I was like, well, maybe he's not. So
yeah, I was booking it because the pit road, I think Chad had it set to where it leaves the sand and stuff on track, and the pit road has been dusty all night. So if you guys notice, people could not get out of their pit boxes. So that I gave it a little too much gas, and I'm spinning my tires, at like 25 mile an hour, and I cannot get up to 50. And I see John close on the relative. I'm like, come on. And then I get just right there. If I did not beat John on pit road, I think this race would have been topsy-turvy into the championship.
And, you kind of touched on it there. But, with the importance of clean air, as you talked about, what looked at first like a terrible break for you ended up being a massive great break for you. What was the relief? What was the emotion when you realized not only are you still on the lead lap, you're gonna be restarting in the lead of this thing?
Well, I was wondering if the lap and a half I did at 150 was going to be worse than them taking tires, because I didn't know if that warmed up my tires at all, if that would be a disadvantage. You never know. It turns out no. Clean air is king. Even with people, I think right at the end there, some people had 20 lap tires, they couldn't do anything. So, it's crazy how wide this racetrack is. The setup was a little weird tonight too. I don't know if the other two guys told you that. It really was kind of just like you had to be on a rail. You couldn't really do any of the trademark Homestead stuff. You couldn't go up high to get a run, because once it got rubbered up, you lost your slip angle, and this car just did not turn at all. We were having to purposely throttle hard. I had no throttle control all night. I was just throttling stupid hard to pivot to the right rear to get any kind of turn out of this thing. And even that, drifting the entire run, that 160 lap run or so we did, I was drifting on the right rear. I still had like 45 right front and 65 right rear. That's just how the setup was today.
Man, that's a wild one, Blake. But we'll give you the extra question for the championship race here. What are the plans for next season? Obviously, 3 in a row. You go for 4, try to pull a Jimmy Johnson on us. Are you coming back to run full time? What are the plans to go out and see if you can't keep this stuff up?
I think this is it, y'all. I think I'm probably gonna do the 500, and then we'll see. I'll sign up for the season, but I think I will be part time after that.
I've heard that one before from you, though.
Well, yeah, but that was because my friends were wanting to hang out. I have a bunch of friends in town. They're in college, and I work full time, so they want to hang out, and they tell me their college schedule. I'm like, okay, I'll do GNS and then Cup, and I was gonna do full time GNS and then part time Cup this season, and they ended up flopping around. They changed their classes. They're like, oh yeah, we can only hang out on like Mondays. I'm like, great. Well, I'll just continue running Cup then. But I think I just got back in the Coke Series, and we just had our second race, and I think I would just want an extra day of some free time, So I think this will be it for my elite points championship runs, but I definitely enjoyed my time here. I enjoyed the staples of the competition. Everyone on Pro Edge and Fueled Up and Lake Norman. Clashes with all of them I've had, but it's been fun. It's been fun having my time here. But yeah, I think the next 500 will probably be my last full go, and then part time whenever it's a fun combo, I think.
Well, before we let you go, especially if this is the end, we definitely want to give you a chance to shout out everybody that made this third championship possible, especially since I know there was a little bit different look on the car tonight.
Yeah, new sponsor for Channel 199 Sim Racing, Real Street Performance and Real Street Tactical. It's a little alternate company there. Trackers and Simulation, longtime sponsor for us. Great Machine Works, Yobo Designs, JD Designs, and Jonathan Cutlip for painting this thing. It looks good. It's his first Coke car he's ever painted. So I'm very proud to rep that for him. Chad and everyone on the admin team. Another rough night for Chad. He did a lot of laps. You guys are putting this on. Belly Up Sports for sponsoring it all 3 seasons that I've won. So shout out to them. And thank you to the entire Elite Cup field for being a part of it with me.
That's awesome. Congratulations on the 3rd consecutive championship, Blake. And if it is indeed the final one, we'll send you out with a bang. So congrats, and we'll see you for the 500 at the very least.
Yes, sir. Y'all have an excellent night. Get some sleep.
Blake Reynolds, the champ. Again, Zach. And what a story it was to get him all the way there. It was adventurous, to say the least. The chase format, I think, definitely showed its worth, that he was able to build a points lead and then hold it into this championship race. He needed people to come up and take it from him, and nobody could.
Nobody could. Definitely what we've come to know from the past, since he joined the Elite Cup Series in 2025A, Blake Reynolds was just there all night. Not a lot of mistakes all season long, and that really paid off in this chase format. But kind of like you hinted at, he still went ahead and won the finale too. He didn't have to. He, ended up winning the title by 33 points, it looks like, over Ethan Stanley. He could have afforded to let Daniel Falkingham go, or whatever the case may be at the end of the race. It didn't matter. He comes away with that 4th win of the season as the cherry on top for this 3rd consecutive Belly Up Sports Cup Series title.
Yeah, it was an awesome season. There's what appears to be the updated standings. So Ethan Stanley will finish 2nd in the points with Falkingham in 3rd. It looks like We'll call those results unofficial, but you can probably assume that's how everything is going to shake out. So
Before we
there you
sign
go.
off, I do want to make a note. Obviously, you see the chase standings on the screen, our top 14, and how all that played out. Do I give a shout out to Ray Bracey as the best of the rest, as it turned out, 15th in points, 8 points ahead of Ryan Borges for that honor.
Absolutely. That's awesome. Oh, we do have it. There it is. There you go.
There you go.
So Ray Bracey nailing down best of the rest there. Awesome. And that'll close it out for us at Elite Racing Network too. So we hope you enjoyed this 2026A season. Be sure to tune in on Tuesdays for ARCA and 2003 and over the summer, and then rejoin us in July or August for the Daytona 500. We will see you in a couple months. Have a good night.